Next on the Fox Weekend Report, the search for a missing Massachusetts boy has an ending, but it's not a happy one. We'll have a live report from the scene. They didn't remove him from office, but now some lawmakers want President Clinton to tell us what happened between him and Juanita Broaddrick. We'll have the latest. And these are men you never want to meet up with in person. We'll tell you about the search for America's most notorious serial killer. Hello everyone, I'm Todd Connor. Heartbreak in Massachusetts tonight. The 9-year-old boy who got lost looking for his dog in a snowstorm has been found. But it's not the kind of ending his family or his rescuers had hoped for. Fox's John Harrington joins us now from Norton with details. John?
Todd, police here had gotten to the point where they were calling this a recovery, not a rescue mission. And indeed tonight the recovery mission is over. Almost exactly 72 hours after 9-year-old Corey Anderson went in search of his dog during a blinding snowstorm, his body is found along a brook very close to home. Corey Anderson's body lies lifeless under a blanket in a canoe. Worst fears realized.
Nothing left to do now except see people crying.
He was found in the swampy thicket of Mulberry Brook. Police say only 200 yards from his home, lying on his side 15 feet from the edge of the water.
Trying to stay dry.
Surmised State Police dive team member Paul Hartley, who had been wading through grueling terrain much like this when he came upon the body in an area that had been searched a half-dozen times before.
I just thought that the terrain was impenetrable for a boy of that age. And I was just shocked that he was actually there.
Corey Anderson disappeared midday Thursday during a blinding blizzard. The 9-year-old boy who suffered from attention deficit disorder had gone to find his dog Jasmine. Jasmine reappeared. Corey did not.
I don't think he drowned because he wasn't in the water. So, I mean, that's a fairly obvious, to myself it was obvious, and I could be disproven.
The search for Corey had been a regional effort. Hundreds of volunteers, all sorts of equipment.
We couldn't just stay home and do nothing, so we all had to look.
Back where he was found today, neighbors are well aware of the dangers of the watery and rough terrain.
It was always a fear in the back of your mind, but you taught your kids to stay away from the river and respect the water. And I don't know what happened to this boy.
Tonight, police are treating the area where the body was recovered as a potential crime scene, but as has been the case all along, there are no indications of any foul play. Once more, police believe that much of the snow which has melted may have covered his body during those initial searches. We are live in Norton, Massachusetts tonight. John Harrington, Fox News.
All right, thanks, John, even though that's not what we wanted to hear. Thanks. Well, we've got a president that seems to live in a soap opera. And like the soaps, the plot thickens and the storyline never seems to end. So here we are with yet another allegation from a woman against Bill Clinton. And this time, keeping quiet may not work. Our Brian Wilson joins us now from Washington with the latest. Brian?
Hello, Todd. You know, this is the story that no one wanted to talk about for the longest time, but that was before a broadcast interview this week with Juanita Broaddrick. And on the Sunday talk shows, they were buzzing about these latest allegations against the president.
It's time to resign! It's time to resign! It's time to resign!
Small groups of protesters have been dogging the president throughout his travels to California and Utah. They are reacting to the latest allegations leveled against Mr. Clinton by Juanita Broaddrick, the so-called Jane Doe number 5. In a broadcast interview, she claimed she was raped over 20 years ago by Clinton when he was the Attorney General of Arkansas. The president's lawyers have flatly denied the allegations, but to date, there has been no reaction from the president himself. Today on Fox News Sunday, there were calls for the president to come forward and discuss the matter.
Well, there's no question if Ronald Reagan had been accused of this, I don't think the press would have let him get away with saying, see my lawyer. Clearly, the president has to offer, it seems to me, some explanation beyond referring everybody to David Kendall.
The question is, if true. If true, it'd be very serious. How could anybody discount this? And I think and I think the president should speak to it. But the big question is, if true.
There was also criticism of Vice President Gore for his silence on this matter from another former vice president.
Al Gore does not know the difference between loyalty and blind loyalty.
Though another Republican presidential hopeful tried to avoid the topic like the plague.
I've really paid very little attention to it. I think we have to concentrate on, the Republicans have to concentrate on putting their positive agenda out there, and I'm really not involved in that at all.
When Paula Jones said she had been harassed by the president and the allegations about Monica Lewinsky arose, feminist groups were muted in their comments. But the president of the National Organization for Women now says the president has a credibility problem.
He is seriously damaged at this point. When I saw Juanita Broaddrick's interview, the first thing that flashed through my mind was, you know, after 21 years, we will never know the truth of this, and there is no way that Bill Clinton can look in the cameras and deny it and have anybody believe it.
On NBC, there was a discussion today of why the network felt compelled to run the Broaddrick interview in the first place. ABC spent much of its roundtable discussion time on the Broaddrick allegations. Conspicuous by its absence, no discussion of the matter on CBS's Face the Nation. Todd?
Definitely another sticky situation for the president. Thanks, Brian. Well, one of the president's women now says she feels like a princess. And not just any princess, but Princess Diana. A British paper says Monica Lewinsky thinks she and Diana have a lot in common. In the Mirror article, Monica claims, quote, "I'm not a princess in a royal sense, but I was also wronged by a man who said he loved me." Lewinsky goes on to say, "I had a lot of pressure on me, and like Diana, I had nowhere to go, nowhere to hide." Oh, and one more thing Diana and Monica have in common. They share the same British biographer, Andrew Morton. Well, still ahead on the Fox Weekend Report, folks in the Middle East are on high alert tonight. We'll take you to the front lines. Get ready for a political rumble, only this one's inside the Republican Party. The race for the White House is on. Plus, we'll tell you why a bunch of students are putting their eggs all in one basket. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm George Foreman, and this is my lean, mean, fat-reducing grilling machine. It grills delicious food in a healthy way, fast. And now I've teamed up with the folks at Sears to make my grill better than ever. Together, we've added this unique, handy warming lid, so preparing tasty meals is even easier. The great features of my grill will make mealtimes faster and easier in your home.
George Foreman's grill is a real time saver. Since it cooks from both sides at once, it cuts most cooking times in half. The large grilling surface lets me make enough for everyone. I use it all the time. The slanted grill channels fat and grease away from food while it cooks, right into handy trays. With the floating hinge, thick chops, chicken breast, even bacon all grill evenly. Seared on the outside, moist and flavorful inside. Meanwhile, the lid warms rolls, buns, biscuits, tortillas, even pita bread. Now we even have time for a hot breakfast. And the double-coated non-stick surface makes cleanup a breeze.
At $59.99, George Foreman's grilling machine with warming lid is a great value, and it's available only from Sears.
It even comes with a spatula that fits right into the grooves of the grill plate. I love it so much, I gave one to my mother and my brother, who was living on takeout until he discovered that even he could make a home-cooked meal. Even when I get home late, I can serve a delicious meal in minutes.
Be a champ in your kitchen. Now, with this handy warming lid, available only from Sears, I'm so proud of it, I put my name on it. And because it's from Sears, you know your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back.
Have your Sears card or other credit card ready and call 1-800-403-5588 now to order George Foreman's grilling machine with Sears exclusive warming lid. It's yours for only $59.99 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-403-5588 now.
The agenda on the Hill. In the wake of the trial, are both parties willing to bury the hatchet and get on with the business at hand? And Jane Doe number 5 speaks out. Where does that one go from here? Get the inside buzz with the Beltway Board. Because in Washington, there's never a dull moment.
Any woman who has any smarts about men knows that if you meet a man you want to marry, don't sleep with him for a good long time.
Judith and her punchy panel kick things off with Monica's Untold Story and move on to Motherhood, Marriage, and Men, Sunday on This Evening with Judith Regan. One
thing we do know for sure about President Clinton, he's out of the White House after this term. And those Republicans who want to replace him all know it'll be hard to win the Golden Ring without winning the Golden State, California. Our Trace Gallagher has more.
They are already off and running for president.
You make more money.
Businessman Steve Forbes, author Gary Bauer, former Tennessee Governor Lamar Alexander, former Vice President Dan Quayle, talk show host Alan Keyes, U.S. Senator John McCain, all gathered in California, trying to seize a golden opportunity by trying to seize the Golden State.
The importance of California will be its ideas, its media, its money, and its vote.
Republican strategist Steve Merksamer took it a step further.
We could have the mother of all primaries right here.
Arizona Senator John McCain thinks he has the early edge.
I believe I understand California, if that's possible, and I believe that I understand the issues and the Republican Party.
A group of California Republican leaders is urging presidential candidates to stay focused on a wide range of issues and steer clear of single issues like abortion. Steve Forbes prefers to stay the course.
Some say we should be the party of compassion. The first order of compassion, I think, is protecting the unborn.
Former Vice President Dan Quayle says abandoning conservative issues will end up hurting Republicans at the ballot box.
I'm for all the American people. I'm for American values, the American family, the American vision.
There are plenty of signs supporting George W. Bush, but no sign of Bush. As for Elizabeth Dole, no signs, not even a mention. Republican strategists say if they plan to run, not coming to California could be costly.
At some point, they're going to have to come off the mountaintop.
Because even at 3,000 miles away, California could be the quickest route to the White House. In Sacramento, Trace Gallagher, Fox News.
Well, as you can see, this weekend's California meeting has brought up all kinds of issues facing the GOP, and how well they sort them out will determine the party's success in election 2000. And for more on this, we're joined now from Richmond by Virginia's Republican Governor Jim Gilmore. Governor, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Todd. Glad to be here.
Well, first of all, let me ask you, a lot of people would like to lead your party and our nation into the new millennium. What do you think about this current field of possible presidential hopefuls?
Well, I think we've got some very good ones, Todd. Certainly Governor George Bush of Texas is a terrific governor and would be a great president. We're offering a lot of forward-looking people, a lot of people who've been there before, like Vice President Dan Quayle and Elizabeth Dole, who, of course, has stayed the course for many years. So we have a real good group of people, and that isn't even all of them.
Well, could that be the problem, though? Do you have too good of a group of people? I mean, there are a lot of strong names out there, a lot of strong possible leaders in that field. Are they going to create problems amongst each other?
Todd, I really don't think so. I think we'll all be running, all the people will be running for the presidency, and they're going to put forward ideas, and ideas are going to win or lose this thing in the year 2000. And I just want to speak out on that for a second. It's the power of the Republican Party's ideas that are going to make us successful in the year 2000. The Republican Party is very mainstream. We're concerned about values like keeping people free and empowering them by giving them back more of their own tax money so they can define their own lives and make a better life for their family. And I think those are the powerful ideas that are going to make us winners in 2000.
Governor, I think a lot of people in the Republican Party, maybe just the average voter out there, would say, yeah, go after the Republican ideas. Stay on course here. But you got off course by going after the Monica mess and President Clinton. But now we have Juanita Broaddrick and another mess that could be coming up. Is the GOP going to stray again? Is that going to be a problem?
You know, I think the focus of the Republicans in the year 2000 is going to be on those issues which are very key to the people of this country. And I think values of integrity and what's right in this country are going to be important. But also what's going to be important is the notion of empowering people. You know, this country is charging people too many taxes in this country. This is a time of great prosperity. The time now is to put a little of that authority and power back in the hands of individual people by cutting taxes. And I'm confident we can do that. Anytime you look at your paycheck, any working man or woman in this country knows that by the time they finish paying the FICA taxes and the income taxes, there's not a lot left.
So should the Republicans focus on taxes and tax cuts instead of this new possible Broaddrick mess that we might be getting into here? Should they stay away from that?
I think appropriate authorities ought to look into a matter like that. If she's got a civil case, she can bring it. If there's a criminal case, it ought to be looked into. But, you know, it's the issues of the day that Republicans are focusing on. Republican governors across this country, there's 31 of us, and we're out there every day applying conservative principles to the day in and day out lives of the people within our respective states. We're doing a lot. Here in Virginia, we've cut taxes. We've eliminated the car tax in Virginia. We just passed an elimination of the food tax in Virginia, cutting back on the state share of that. Also a tax cut for military personnel in this state. And we're cutting tuitions across the board so that the 20% in higher education, so that working men and women can send their kids to college and empower them to have a better and better life. And we're very concerned about the freedom and independence of people, but economic freedom goes hand in hand with that. And I believe that if we put these ideas forward in a powerful way, we're going to win the White House in 2000.
All right, Governor Jim Gilmore, thank you very much for joining this evening, and continued success in your first term.
Thank you very much.
All right. Coming up after this break, the Gulf War ended years ago, but thousands of our servicemen and women are still hurting. We'll tell you what the government plans to do about all of that. And we'll tell you why working moms don't need to feel guilty about their kids anymore. Plus, we've got a penny for your thoughts. It's a report that could make you a whole lot richer. Don't go away. You're watching the Fox Weekend Report, and we will be right back.
R-E-S-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-E-C-T, take F-T-C-T.
What abundant stench. Someone changed that Glade plug-in's refill.
Don't forget, refill your Glade plug-ins.
Plug it in, plug it in.
Beauty has many faces, but one thing in common. Dove. The bar doctors recommend 5-to-1 over any other cleanser. Dove has 1/4 moisturizing lotion to leave skin softer than soap ever could.
Once again, the Subaru Forester has outperformed the competition, earning the highest overall rating of vehicles tested in its class in a recent crash test. But the real beauty of the Forester is that it can help you avoid accidents altogether by automatically transferring power from the wheels that slip to the wheels that grip for maximum control. Another reason why the competition is a little bent out of shape. Subaru Forester, the beauty of all-wheel drive.
Now that's a dog.
A sandwich just isn't a sandwich without the tangy zip of Miracle Whip.
Chocolate milk? This isn't ordinary chocolate milk. It's rich chocolate Ovaltine. Compare the labels. It's got vitamins. Nestle Quick has none. When it comes to nutrition, Ovaltine beats Quick, hands down. For us, it's rich chocolate Ovaltine.
More Ovaltine, please.
Need fast itch relief? Did you know there's a cream that brings fast itch relief to irritating winter itch? A cream with 2 proven medicated itch fighters. From a leader in itch relief for nearly 100 years. It's Gold Bond, maximum strength Gold Bond medicated cream. Fast itch relief.
Have you ever bought a new computer, then had a question about it, and then you asked your spouse and your kid, and it was 7 o'clock, and the computer store was closed, and the guy next door who knows everything about computers was on vacation? Why not get help 24 hours a day? Go to Dell. We've won PC Magazine's award for desktop reliability and service 3 years in a row. Right now, you can get a Dell Dimension computer powered by an Intel Pentium 2 processor at 350 megahertz. You'll get an 8.4 gig hard drive with enough storage to use neat stuff like digital cameras. Plus, you'll get a 17-inch monitor, a 4.8x DVD-ROM drive, Altec Lansing speakers with subwoofer, and it comes preloaded with Microsoft Windows 98 with Work Suite and Money 99 to do. Oh boy, money stuff. It's a good thing it only costs $15.99. Dell Dimension with an Intel Pentium 2 processor at 350 megahertz. Just $15.99. To order, go directly to the source. Dell, be direct.
Tensions are high between Israel and Lebanon after 3 Israeli soldiers and a reporter were killed earlier today. The Hezbollah were behind the attack, and Israel says they will retaliate. Fox reporter David Lee Miller has more.
The latest round of violence began this morning when Iranian-backed Hezbollah militia operating in South Lebanon, Israel's self-declared security zone, fired rockets at civilian communities across the border. Hours later, the Hezbollah struck again, detonating 2 roadside bombs near a military convoy. The blast took the life of this man, Brigadier General Erez Gerstein, making him the most senior military official to be killed in Lebanon since Israel's 1982 occupation. Also killed were 2 other soldiers and a reporter traveling with the general in an armor-plated Mercedes. Israel's retaliation was swift. At a news conference, authorities said Israel's military took action against the Hezbollah by land, sea, and air. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on the Lebanese government to stop the attacks.
We want to leave Lebanon. We want to see the Lebanese government send the Lebanese army to take up the positions that we vacate. That's the responsibility of Lebanon.
Israel's occupation of South Lebanon is an unpopular conflict, one that critics here label their own Vietnam.
It's been at least 20 years since Israel has got stuck in the mud of Lebanon, and we can't see any end to this clumsy or evil presence.
Complicating the crisis are the Israeli elections, scheduled to take place in just 3 months. What, if any, lessons has Prime Minister Netanyahu learned from his predecessor, Shimon Peres, who in 1996 ordered a massive attack in South Lebanon that accidentally took the lives of more than 100 refugees? It was a tragedy that some say cost Peres the election. In Jerusalem, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Back here at home, health officials are meeting in Atlanta to talk about Gulf War illness. They're hoping to develop recommendations for future research at the week-long conference. Tens of thousands of U.S. soldiers have complained about things like chronic fatigue and joint and muscle pain. The Pentagon says so far it hasn't found any evidence of soldiers being exposed to biological or chemical weapons during the Gulf War. Doctors performed a death-defying move in Japan today. For the first time in decades, they gave someone a heart transplant. You see, for years, a patient couldn't be declared dead until his heart stopped working, which was way too late for transplanting. In fact, Japan's first heart transplant surgeon was charged with murder. He wasn't convicted, but it's taken 31 years and a new law to open Japan's doors to transplants. Jogging could be okay for your IQ, and babies get some breathing room. Carol Ivana takes a look at the week in health.
Now there's a way to cut the risk of dying in women with cervical cancer. Studies show that by using chemotherapy and radiation together, doctors can cut the risk of cancer deaths in half. In fact, the findings were so strong that the National Cancer Institute actually mailed letters to doctors urging them to use the combination therapy now. Currently, doctors use surgery for early-stage cervical cancer and radiation alone to stop the spread of the disease. Here's some important news for new moms. If you're planning to have another baby, wait at least a year and a half before you do. The Centers for Disease Control found that having babies too close together raises the risk that the new baby will be born premature or small. On the other hand, spacing your babies too far apart isn't good either. Those who waited 10 years to have another baby faced similar risks. Doctors say the ideal interval to have a second baby is about 2.5 years. Antibiotics are losing the battle against bladder infections, and it's causing researchers to worry. The findings were based on a 5-year study in which 20% of the common infections were found to be resistant to penicillin-type antibiotics. The discovery may now cause doctors to switch drugs and treat patients longer. Urinary tract infections account for about 8 million doctor visits in the U.S. each year. Running may be just the thing to help jog your memory. A new study found that mice that ran on an exercise wheel whenever they wanted generated more brain cells than mice who did other things. The area of the brain that benefited was the part that controls learning and memory. So now scientists are trying to find out if the extra brain cells makes them smarter. Further testing is needed to see if it works the same on humans. I'm Carol Ivana, and that's this week's Health News Now.
The next time you see a penny, pick it up, look at it, because it could bring you $500,000 worth of good luck. You see, this guy in Idaho left a rare 1943 copper penny on top of his fridge. It's said to be worth about $500,000. Only problem is, he and his wife don't know where it is right now.
How could you have left it on top of the refrigerator? And he's probably thinking, how could she have, you know, not known that that was my special penny? And
now, the whole town's on a treasure hunt. No one knows where the pretty penny will show up, but they're dying to find it. Moral of this story, every little penny does count. In matters of money, there's a big difference between the rich and the rest of us. And it's not just wallet size. Our money man, Neil Cavuto, sums it all up in a nutshell.
You really want to know the difference between a leader and a loser? A leader's not afraid to lose, or at least take chances. A leader's not afraid to look nuts, to act nuts, and to be seen as a nut. Because in the end, he knows if he's right, we're the ones who look nuts by not having the guts to see what he saw and do what he did. Take Jack Welch, the General Electric CEO, who usually tops the top corporate bosses list year in, year out. I think Jack's tops because Jack's nuts, or at least he does things that look nuts to the rest of us. Take his decision to move into Europe nearly a decade ago when the continent was mired in a recession, the end of which looked nowhere in sight. Even his backers at GE, not to mention more than a few vociferous shareholders, branded the move crazy. But since that time, GE revenue has grown more than 400% in Europe to more than 24 billion smackers now. Not bad for a nut. And now Jack's at it again, writing in his closely watched annual letter to shareholders that he's into Asia in a big way. Yeah, the same Asia still mired in a recession and a 20-month-long financial crisis. He just scooped up Japan's Toho Mutual Life, which instantly allowed GE to become a key player in the Japanese insurance industry. Once again, they are calling him nuts. But let me ask you something. Who's the real nut? The guy calling the shots or the guy throwing them? I'm Neil Cavuto.
Neil with all the answers. To work or not to work? It's a question almost every new mom asks herself. Well, now there's a new study out there that can put a working mom's mind at ease. It finds no real difference between kids that grow up with a stay-at-home mom and kids who have career moms. A psychologist studied everything from learning ability to behavioral problems, and she found that the time you spend with your kids is all about quality, not quantity. Some good news. Straight ahead, is catching serial killers just like it is in the movies? We'll tell you what the cops who catch them have to say. Also, an avalanche of tears in Austria, remembering the victims of that country's deadly snowslide. And is the Russian bear really a polar bear at heart? Judge for yourself. We report, you decide. Plus, we're going to give you something to think about. So stay with us.
Presenting the first USA PGA Tour Titanium MasterCard. With a 3.9% APR for the first 6 months, then a low 9.99% thereafter. There's no annual fee, a credit limit from $5,000 to $100,000, and a free gift. How can you get all this? By calling 1-800-509-8960 now. Think what it could bring you. Greens fees, $116. Graphite shaft clubs, $877. Lunch at the turn, $13.50. Balls, tees, $36. Hole in one, and a witness, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's the first USA PGA Tour Titanium MasterCard. Call 1-800-509-8960 now and enjoy exceptional privileges and benefits. You could save hundreds of dollars by transferring your balances from higher interest rate credit cards. And you'll receive free a dozen Top Flight 3XL titanium golf balls with your first purchase or balance transfer. For a low 3.9% APR, a credit limit from $5,000 to $100,000, and no annual fee. Get the card that's a friend to golfers everywhere. Call 1-800-509-8960 and request the first USA PGA Tour or Senior PGA Tour Titanium MasterCard or the first USA Titanium MasterCard. The choice is yours, and so is this free gift. Call now.
Last week on Drudge.
You've spoken to Juanita Broderick. Did she seem credible to you?
She's not writing a book. She's not getting paid. She's extremely well off. She has nothing to gain except shame and embarrassment.
If you gotta know, you gotta watch Drudge. For information on Drudge, go to foxnews.com or look for Drudge on Yahoo.
Some of you can sleep a bit easier tonight. After a cross-country search, cops say they've caught the South Side rapist. They hunted down 42-year-old Dennis Rabbit at an Albuquerque, New Mexico motel this morning. Cops say Rabbit's a serial rapist who's attacked more than 24 women in St. Louis alone. Police have been after him for the past 10 years, but folks who know Rabbit say he seems to be a regular family man. And a lot of times, that's the problem with catching a career criminal. They often blend in with the regular folks. But on any given day, there are dozens of serial killers out there ready to attack. Will Thomas reports.
Men, women, children. Often dozens are murdered by the very same individual. Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Henry Lee Lucas. They're the faces of death, the faces we've seen before because they've been caught. But among us, there are many more, the serial killers who haven't been captured.
On any given day, there are probably 50 to 70 unsolved serial murder cases around the country. Yeah. Certainly it appears to be a significant number, and over the years it doesn't seem to be diminishing. There's an expectation that it's been actually appreciating, growing.
Bill Hagmaier should know. He heads the FBI's Child Abduction and Serial Killer Unit in Virginia.
Good morning. Dr. Lecter, my name is Clarice Starling. Can I speak with you?
You're one of Jack Crawford's, aren't you?
The chilling movie
I am.
Silence of the Lambs first shed light on this little-known FBI unit.
Look at him, Starling. Tell me what you see.
Oh, he's a white male. Serial killers tend to hunt within their own ethnic groups.
That's because the make-believe crime fighters on film.
If I'd sent you in there with an actual agenda, Lecter would have known it instantly. He would have toyed with you, then turned to stone.
Are based on the real-life work of people like Bill Hagmaier and his highly trained agents.
It's difficult spending time with anyone whom you're trying to elicit information from who doesn't necessarily want to give it up, and spending time with someone who has victimized so many innocent people, and knowing that he would do the same to your family.
You wouldn't believe some of the men Hagmaier had to spend time with. Ted Bundy is just one serial killer he got to know personally.
He confirmed a great deal that we had suspected in the realms of serial murder.
Yes, I intend to complete my legal education and become a lawyer and be a damn good lawyer.
Known as the country's most articulate, cold-blooded killer, Ted Bundy is suspected of killing at least 36 young women. Instead of young women, John Wayne Gacy killed young men, even little boys. Dressed as Pogo the Clown, he entertained at birthday parties. Authorities discovered more than 24 bodies in a shallow grave beneath the floorboards of his home.
Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you! I hate you! This is how you go!
Who can forget this outcry during Jeffrey Dahmer's sentencing? The families of his victims had plenty to say before he got life in prison. Like the others, Dahmer killed over and over, a total of 17 men. Inside his Milwaukee apartment, investigators found body parts, the ones he didn't eat.
I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. I know my time in prison will be terrible, but I deserve whatever I get because of what I have done.
When you're dealing with violence, we see more of it, and we see more sophisticated violence.
We see that violence every day. Kristen and Katie Liss, Sophia Silva, 3 recent unsolved murders, and likely 1 serial killer. For Sophia's family, the outpouring of support from their community makes all the difference.
It's almost like someone we've come to depend upon each day.
And certainly no one's forgetting a daughter.
No, I'm so thankful for that.
Without them or any of the church, I don't know how I would have done it.
What we all rely upon is the expertise of law enforcement to stop the killing. And sometimes the serial killer is stopped. Ted Bundy, executed. John Wayne Gacy, executed. Jeffrey Dahmer, killed by a fellow prison inmate. In Washington, Will Thomas, Fox News.
And it was just 2 years ago today that two men who police might describe as serial bank robbers busted into a North Hollywood, California bank. After exchanging hundreds of rounds of gunfire with the easily outgunned police, it all came to an end with the 2 robbers dead and 10 officers and 6 others wounded. So to commemorate this anniversary, an activist group has proclaimed today No Shots Fired Day and asks that criminals put down their guns for just one day. It's a nice concept, and some think it will work. But then again, criminals don't really care what the rest of us think, do they? And that is something to think about. We'll be right back.
There are 10 million thousand things we have to do every day. Then, we still have to do the laundry really well. Good thing Whisk has a targeted cleaning system. Now everything you wash gets done right the first time. Whisk. Do it once. Do it right.
Hey lady, isn't it about time to change that Glade plug-ins refill?
Refill your Glade plug-ins every 45 days to keep your home Glade fresh.
Plug it in, plug it in.
I should have listened to my mother.
When you're lost, the Acura TL can help.
Destination on the left.
Happy place is still open.
No.
Yes, there.
You're kidding. When a craving strikes, the TL can help. And when something comes between you and your destination, hospital, detour, the TL will get you there.
Keep bright.
The 1999 TL with the satellite-linked navigation system from Acura. When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
A proper gentleman eats one cookie at a time.
But these aren't cookies. They're Newton.
Well, we can't be proper all the time, now can we?
A cookie is just a cookie, but Newtons are fruit and cake. And now Fig Newtons are better than ever, because they're moister than ever.
On March 1st, Fox News Channel adds another powerful name to our prime-time news. Paula's On, starting March 1st, only on the Fox News Channel.
Iraq says U.S. jets hit an oil pipeline used for their UN Oil for Food program. American jets attacked the Iraqis after they were shot at and in the northern no-fly zone earlier today. Iraq says one person was killed and 2 injured when the bomb hit the pumping station. The pipeline carried oil from northern Iraq into Turkey. Britain may need a real James Bond to fight some high-tech hackers. A London paper says hackers took control of a British military satellite and are blackmailing the government. The hackers changed the satellite's course 2 weeks ago and want cash to stop messing with it. Britain's Ministry of Defense won't comment, but considers this a serious threat. The satellites are used by military forces around the world. Things are spiraling out of control in Kosovo. One Serbian policeman was killed in a fight with ethnic Albanian guerrillas. 4 others were wounded in the gun battle. Thousands of ethnic Albanian refugees are trying to escape the fighting by crossing over into Macedonia. but Serbian forces are stopping them at the border. The new violence all comes on the first anniversary of the fighting. Thousands of Albanians mark the day with a somber ceremony in the villages where it all began. Our Secretary of State plans to confront China on human rights, and that tops our Fox World. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright arrived in Beijing today to start a 3-day visit. It's expected Albright will offer China sharp criticism of how they treat those who disagree politically. Albright will also talk to the Chinese about trade issues. In Austria, it was a national day of mourning for the 38 people killed in last week's deadly avalanches. Ambassadors from Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands also attended the memorial service, honoring people from their countries who died. 2 alpine villages were crushed by the avalanches. It took rescuers 4 days to find all the bodies. Now to Vatican City, where the Pope spoke out against landmines. During his Sunday address to the faithful in St. Peter's Square, the Pope asked all countries to sign the Ottawa Treaty banning landmines. The treaty takes effect tomorrow. Russia, Ukraine, China, and the U.S. haven't signed it yet. Finally, out of orbit and into Moscow, 2 cosmonauts said goodbye to their partners and left the Mir space station for home. Their safe arrival in Russia's Star City is the beginning of the end for Mir. The 3 cosmonauts left behind on Mir may be the last crew ever to man the 13-year-old space station. Mir's mission isn't the only thing winding down in Russia. Winter's ending, which means it's time for one last cold weather carnival. And after you see the celebration, you'll be surprised Russia didn't win the Cold War with a smile. Andrew Wilson from Sky News has the story.
The starter's flare failed, but that didn't stop the rush for pole position in Moscow's fiercely fought ice fishing championship. It's an international competition, but not surprisingly, all the competitors are Russian. It's a practiced art, drilling down through the ice shelf, dropping a can of worms to stimulate interest below, sending down a hook, and settling in for the day.
It's no fun just sitting here, but catching a fish makes it worth it, like winning in a casino.
Better to catch fish than drink vodka.
But the icy anglers weren't the only stars. Moscow's Walrus Club made an appearance, parading their constitutions in a makeshift swimming pool. To the unseasoned eye, there is an element of madness to it all. But to Muscovites, it's a not-to-be-missed winter carnival. Grim-faced chainsaw artists fashion sculptures from blocks of frozen water. The competition for first place as fierce as on the stretch of ice below, where, incidentally, hours of patience are paying off as the first heavyweights are hauled in from the deep. I've now been reliably informed that tension here has reached fever pitch. Not a big catch day, but to be fair, the waters here aren't what they used to be. Stepping back, one wonders if there's anything left alive down there at all. Andrew Wilson, Sky News in Moscow.
Well, it's a deal any mother would be proud of. The Pope is bending the rules for Mother Teresa. His Holiness waived the mandatory 5-year wait that usually accompanies the road to sainthood. Even though Mother Teresa died less than 2 years ago, the Vatican says demand for Mother Teresa's sainthood was so great, they decided to let the process begin early. And coming up next on the Fox Weekend Report, O.J. Simpson's got a new movie, or a new move rather, called Putting Your Foot in Your Mouth. We'll explain. Also, Tyson throws a tantrum and Rodman decides to play by the lake. A look back at the weekend sports. And can these students keep the egg off their faces? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You know Microsoft. Why not use your connections? The people who made your PC fast and reliable with Windows now do the same for your internet connections. Call now to try MSN Internet Access, free. It gives you Microsoft technology and speeds of up to 56K for fast, reliable connections to the things that interest you most. Like planning a trip, exploring MSN.com and the Internet, and of course, keeping in touch. And MSN Internet Access is ranked #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power & Associates. Call now to try it free for a month, then do nothing to keep getting unlimited MSN Internet access and email for just $19.95 a month. Click the MSN icon on your Windows 95 or 98 desktop or call for a free CD. With exceptional speed and reliability that take the guesswork out of Internet connections, there's only one question left to ponder.
It never fails. If I spend money on something, the cats hate it. If it's free, they think it's wonderful. Bought the fancy bed. Whop. Free box it came in. Big hit. Wacky mouse. Flop. Ball of aluminum foil. Free, so big hit. So I knew my cats would love this fun play center. Why? I got it free, just for using my First USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard.
Let the world know you love cats with the First USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard. And if you call right now, you'll get this Cat Play Center, a $39 value, free with your first purchase or balance transfer. The First USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard is like a reward for your good credit. There's no annual fee and a low introductory interest rate of 3.9% that goes up to just 12.99% after 6 months. Plus, you can choose from 3 charming cat designs.
Don't tell them, but I picked the one with the white cat.
You get all the privileges that come with a Platinum MasterCard, like our special warranty program for those high-ticket purchases, lost luggage protection, even airline flight insurance. And every time you use it, you let everyone know you're a cat lover.
Now shopping is even more fun.
With our low introductory rate of 3.9%, you can transfer balances from your high-rate cards to your Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard and save hundreds of dollars in interest. Think of what you could do with all that extra money.
Well, now that they've got the play center and my belt, I guess they don't need any more toys.
Don't forget, you get the Cat Play Center with your first purchase or balance transfer. So call and apply today.
Call 1-800-626-5408 to apply for a First USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard and get this fun Cat Play Center, a $39 value, free with your first purchase or balance transfer. 1-800-626-5408.
Amtrak's got a good excuse for being late in Washington State, a landslide. The train was doing about 60 miles an hour when it hit debris on the tracks. It needed a quarter of a mile to stop. Medics on the scene say 2 people suffered minor injuries from the crash, and a bus was brought in to take passengers to their final destination of Eugene, Oregon. There was a big bang across the pond in an English village today. A youngster got a real treat when he was able to push down the plunger to blow up these silos. The silos were over 70 years old. A North Carolina lighthouse is being moved after more than a century. The Cape Hatteras Lighthouse is traveling about 3,000 feet to save it from erosion. Locals are worried that'll be the end of their only way on and off the island. That's because the National Park Service says it won't maintain the steel jetties that protected the lighthouse from erosion. Residents are afraid that'll mean the highway will eventually wash away. O.J. Simpson has a few things to say about violence against women. He says, quote, "A lot of times the girls actually provoke it." Simpson made the comments during an interview for an April issue of Sport magazine. The ex-football hero says the worst thing he ever did was give his ex-wife Nicole a bruise over her eye. Iron Mike throws a fit and a TV, plus the warm bounces back. Here's our sports guy Brian Kilmeade with the week that was.
Give Mike his drugs. Mike Tyson, doing his year of jail time for road rage, threw a TV at guards early last week in prison. Why? Well, doctors say they stopped giving him his antidepressants 2 days earlier. Mike was originally sentenced to a month in solitary confinement, but was sprung this weekend. I wonder, did they give him these pills before that Holyfield fiasco? When you're strange. Rodzilla takes Los Angeles. Dennis Rodman didn't take long to get into his old ways with the LA Lakers. Friday night, grabs 11 boards in his first game. Saturday afternoon, 10 minutes late to his first practice. The team says, quote, "No big deal."
I love it. I love it. I love this game.
And Rodman won't have to deal with white-haired Dale Harris screaming at him from the sidelines. The Lakers canned him in his hair helmet and brought in Kurt Rambis in his square glasses. Rodman will need to help Kurt with his eyewear, I gather. How long before Dennis's old friend Phil Jackson gets the call? Mark McGuire says Andrew is, well, A-okay, but he doesn't take the Freedom Formula, People First Inc. are being sued by Big Mac because they did a no-no. They put his likeness on their bottles. Not good. I guess Big Mac doesn't like to mix his muscle enhancers, and that's the week that was.
Well, if your sports preferences are a little more toward the problem-solving side, you might want to head down to Drexel University. Students there are dropping everything they can get their hands on. And that's no joke. Our Gerald Colpan has the story.
As the old saying goes, you can't make a Newtonian theoretical albumin protective projectile without breaking eggs.
It came down sideways. If it had come down straight, we think it would have had better results.
The desired result for this year's Drexel University Kamikaze Egg Drop was to design a container that could survive a 40-foot cable while protecting the yolky resident within. Seems they tried it all, from cool-looking little ships to conversion versions of pop bottles to things that look designed more for UPS than stress. And it must be said that the vast majority went through impact hell and kept their shell.
This is what we of the Fox Network might call surviving the moment of impact. World's scariest egg crashes caught on tape. But the folks here at Drexel take this very seriously. They say that if you can build a better egg protector today, you can build a safer minivan tomorrow.
They learn from this how to build an engineered system, what they need to do to a component so that it becomes safe, what you need to do to absorb impact, speed, velocity, etc.
There was even some feminism, as Barbie, that symbol of Baywatch-type bimboism, was encouraged to participate successfully.
This is women engineers taking charge of the Barbie syndrome.
Okay, so in other words, Pamela Anderson could have easily been an engineer.
Absolutely. Anyone can be an engineer if they stick at it and they like math and they like science.
So congratulations, Drexel. Today we learned 3 things. Engineering can be egg-citing, making noise is always fun, and eggs don't make good protection for other eggs. Hoping for tenure, Gerald Colpan, Fox News.
Now that's what school should be all about, right? Well, coming up next, did Leo have a mess at the beach, or did he leave a mess at the beach? We'll tell you why some people think so, and which religion is launching a holy war against the warrior princess. We've got all that and more, so stick around.
Boogie woogie, rumbling round, creamy, dreamy, rumbling round. It's got yogurt blended right in, with the creamy taste of butter. You'll try it.
The goodness of yogurt, the creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories. Must be rumbling brown.
Maria, cappuccino pronto.
For the earliest delivery to the most international cities, call 1-800-PIC-UPS.
Where's your Aussie friend now?
Right here. The Subaru Forester. With more horsepower than a Honda CR-V, it's one sport utility that's full of surprises.
Like me, for example.
Where should you invest in 1999? Medical breakthroughs? Innovations in telecom? Emerging technologies? There's a world of choices. So every year the research analysts at Solomon Smith Barney pick their favorite stock in over 80 industries. To see what they recommend, call 1-800-EARNS-IT, extension 181, for your free special report, Top Picks 1999. It starts with an outlook for the economy and interest rates. It tells you which top picks our analysts believe offer the most earnings potential, the highest yields, which stocks will benefit from developing trends, like the graying of America and the emergence of the digital generation. Top Picks 1999 has the information you'll need to diversify your portfolio this year. Call 1-800-EARNS-IT, extension 181, for your free special report. Let's get to work. Solomon Smith Barney.
Fox, change begins with you.
Last year, the Children's Scholarship Fund was created to help low-income families send their children to private or parochial schools. There are no tests or minimum grades to qualify, just financial need. Sound too good to be true? Call 1-800-805-KIDS to find out more.
Romance is out and violence is in at the movies. 8mm's perverse pornographic plotline didn't keep moviegoers away. It made more than $14 million to take the #1 spot this weekend. Mel Gibson was still getting plenty of payback. His violent revenge flick shot its way to second place. The sappy love story The Other Sister was third, followed by Kevin Costner's even sappier Message in a Bottle, while My Favorite Martian rounded out the top 5. Buffy has some cruel intentions, Barbara dishes the dirt, and the Peacock Network finds a wonderland through a looking glass. Here's our entertainment guy, Bill McCuddy.
Everyone here is mad. I'm mad. You're mad.
Center Square Whoopi as the Cheshire Cat, Martin Short as Mad as a Hatter, and Miranda Richardson as the Queen of Hearts. NBC rolls out another big-budget fairy tale Sunday night with Alice in Wonderland.
Here we go round the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush, the mulberry bush.
Expect lots of special effects and fantasy characters, many of them from Jim Henson's Creature Shop. It all adds up to 3 hours of 3-star entertainment, according to USA Today. Speaking of fairy tales, Tuesday, Ever After is living happily on videotape. Drew Barrymore stars in a hipper Cinderella story that made my top 10 list last year. Angelica Houston is the evil stepmom. A top-notch supporting cast makes this a happy ending to any rental evening. Next, will anyone be watching anything but Monica Lewinsky and Barbara Walters Wednesday? No, Monica won't be wearing that dress. It's still evidence. And that same night, it's Shania Twain in more clothes than the Grammys and joined by Elton John and the Backstreet Boys in her winter break special. Finally, Buffy is a bad girl ready for devious teen doings in Cruel Intentions. Basically, another version of Dangerous Liaisons with bad boy Ryan Felipe and nice girl Reese Witherspoon.
My advice is to sleep with as many people as possible.
Wondering whatever happened to Happy Days, I'm Bill McCuddy, Fox News.
This Sunday, Leo takes a stand, Xena gets yanked, and Charles got a new sheen. Sorry, Charlie, we're just not used to Charles yet. But Hollywood bad boy Charles Sheen's trying to reinvent himself again. He's written a book of 84 poems called A Peace of Mind with ditties like Livin' in Sin. But don't run out to the bookstore just yet. Sheen's sonnets are only available on the internet for now. Wesley Snipes can't get enough action, so he's going to produce and star in a $30 million non-chick flick called Art of War. It's about terrorists who try to destroy the United Nations, and Snipes is the only man who can stop them. Problem is, he doesn't officially exist. The king of the world doesn't respect the earth. Some people on an island in Thailand are protesting Leonardo DiCaprio's latest movie, The Beach. They're angry that producers smoothed over sand dunes and stuck non-native trees in the ground for the film. But DiCaprio says producers took care of every little branch on the island. Xena's got a new fight on her hands. The Warrior Princess's Saturday night episode got yanked by a Canadian TV station. Hindus got upset that Xena asked Krishna to help her save her sexy sidekick. Hindus say Lucy Lawless's character is a lesbian icon, and that's bad karma. And Disney's Mulan finally got over the Great Wall. China originally banned the movie because it was critical of their rule in Tibet. Turns out the story of a young Chinese woman who disguises herself as a soldier and becomes a hero isn't a big hit anyway, mostly because just about everyone's already seen the movie on pirate videos. And once again, that does it for this Sunday night. I'm Todd Connor. Don't forget the Fox Report will be back tomorrow with Paula Zahn. And stay tuned now for the Crier Report. But now we want to leave you with a glimpse of one of the world's 7 wonders, the Egyptian pyramids. See you next weekend. Have a great night.
The blonde waitresses take their trays to spin around and they cross the floor. They've got the moves, oh, hey, oh. You drop your drinks and they bring you more. All the school kids so sick of books, they like the funk and the metal band. When the buzzer rings, oh, hey, oh, they're walking like an Egyptian. All the kids in the
The joke is now, you know, if we could get him on videotape having an affair in the Oval Office, his approval numbers would go to 100%.
Well, it was no joke this week when Juanita Broaddrick's story finally hit the airwaves. Why has the White House been so quiet on this one? And then, are your kids being shut out of some schools because of their race? And do quotas and affirmative action belong in the classroom? We'll take a look. That and an update on the JonBenet Ramsey case. But first, the latest headlines.
Hello everyone, I'm Todd Connor. The town of Norton, Massachusetts is mourning the death of Corey Anderson. The 9-year-old boy vanished in a blinding snowstorm on Thursday. Police found Anderson's body on the side of a stream near his family's home, a place they had searched before.
The area where the recovery was made, where Corey Anderson's body was located, was in the high probability area from the onset of this search operation. This was the 5th entry into that area.
Anderson had gone out in the storm to find his dog. Well, it seems it really doesn't matter if your mother worked or stayed at home. A new study finds children of women who work outside the home aren't hurt very much by their mother's absence. A psychologist at the University of Massachusetts looked at kids under 3 years old. She found no difference in development between children whose mothers work versus stay-at-home moms. Monica Lewinsky says she and Princess Diana have a lot in common. Today's London Mirror says Lewinsky thinks that she, like the princess, was wronged by the man she loved. She adds that her love for President Clinton trapped her and that she felt a lot of pressure. Diana and Monica have something else in common. They both told their stories to British biographer Andrew Morton. Mother Teresa may be on the fast track to sainthood. The Pope waived the mandatory 5-year wait after death to jumpstart the process. The Vatican says the public demand overpowered the 5-year rule. Mother Teresa died in 1997 in India, where she established her headquarters for taking care of people in need. And our next update's coming up at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, why has the White House stayed silent on Juanita Broaddrick's sexual assault claim against the president? Find out next on the Crier Report. Stay with us.
For 15 years, some California schools have operated under a desegregation plan that says no school can have more than 45% of any racial or ethnic group. Now, is this something we need in the 90s? We'll have a debate a little later on. We'll also give you an update on the JonBenet Ramsey case. But first, the story's been told, and now Americans have seen for themselves what Juanita Broaddrick had to say about her alleged sexual assault more than 2 decades ago by then Arkansas Attorney General Bill Clinton. While many criticized Broaddrick's timing and motives, her son, Kevin Hickey, explained it this way to Fox News.
There's so many inaccuracies and so many false stories out there that you feel like, geez, you know, we got to tell what happened, get it out there in one piece, get it accurate, and then maybe everyone will just go away.
So where does the story go from here? Do you care? And why has the White House been so quiet? Joining me now is U.S. News & World Report's Major Garrett, John Fund with the Wall Street Journal, and Jeff Cohen with Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Welcome, everyone. Jeff, let me start with you. I was reading a quote from David Gergen, and he says, good news and bad news. Good news is there have been so many of these allegations the public is weary. This may not have anywhere near the impact the other ones might have. The bad news, people tend to believe it more willingly than they might have otherwise. My question, the real news, does it make any difference either way?
I think it makes a difference. I think Gergen's right on both counts. I think there's a certain cynicism. I believe what we have is the confluence of the media that's in a certain pitch and perhaps our current president who is in a certain pitch. And we've gotten to the point now where any accusation
in the media becomes really big, and you're right, a lot of viewers and news consumers are burnt out.
You say really big, but John, I found it amazing. You read editorials and sort of followed this through. Very quiet, very low-keyed response to this story.
Not on television.
Juanita,
I actually thought to some extent the cable story, you know, we're going to talk about this, but
I read all the major papers this morning, almost nothing on this. It's basically going away, and the president, of course, is trying to make it go away by saying nothing. A one-sentence denial through his lawyer. And he won't even tell us where he was on April 25th, 1978, even though there are written records at the Clinton archives in Little Rock that would tell us. So they simply are providing no cooperation at all. I think Juanita's story is slowly sinking because she apparently is doing what she said she was doing, only giving one interview and not giving any other commentary. So she apparently has some credibility on that score.
But Major, at the same time, it seems that editorials, conversations across the board, didn't criticize her credibility much in this story, other than the delay, which we can understand if you listen to her explanations. Not a lot of challenge.
No, there hasn't been, and I would disagree with Jeff on one point. I think this case is completely separate from everything we've dealt with in this vacuum of the Lewinsky affair the last year. I think the media, generally speaking, is very restrained in this story. I think Juanita Broaddrick is a very credible witness. And I think there is going to be no attempt by the Republican Party or anyone to gain any political advantage or put legs beneath this story. I think what's happening is the nation, the political elite, the media, sit silently appalled at the facts as they've so been stated, and it will slowly not sink as much as John Fund said, but sink in. And as that sinking in process continues, I don't think it's going to be good for the president.
It's almost overwhelming. Certainly it's very difficult. 21-year-old case. You obviously have no eyewitness, no physical evidence. This is a very difficult case. You can't prove it. Statute of limitations is run. What should we be doing with this, John?
Well, I agree we can't prove it, but the president is in a very difficult position because of all that we've gone through, all that he has put us through in the last year. Alan Dershowitz, who's one of the president's staunchest defenders, says you cannot believe anything this president says about sex. Joe Conason, who's one of the president's staunchest defenders, says he doesn't know if he can believe these charges or not believe them. So we're in a position where the president literally has no defenders, and his entire camp's attitude is silence, let's hope this goes away. I think this is an issue that may be 21 years old, but we can't afford silence.
But Jim, what obligation does he have to respond, in the sense that maybe we say he has an obligation to the American people, but if I were him, I would do the same thing.
Well, his lawyer has put out a pretty categorical denial. I mean, I think from...
No, he said he didn't assault Juanita Broaddrick. He didn't say he didn't assault or or deal with Juanita Hickey.
It seemed to me as broad as one could make a one-sentence denial. I think...
Why only one sentence, Jeff?
Well, if you were accused of something that didn't happen to you, say, you would make this is so outrageous, I'm not going to respond.
Clarence Thomas, when he was accused by Anita Hill, who stepped forward with 11-year-old allegations, appeared before the Senate and said, ask all questions you want, I will answer them for how many hours it takes because I want to clear my name. Now, the president will not even say if he was at the Camelot Hotel. Back-channel White House sources say, well, he may have been at the hotel. A one-sentence denial is not a denial. It is not.
John, should he have denied when Ann Coulter said that there are 4 other interns, White House interns besides Monica Lewinsky, sexually servicing...
They didn't step forward on national television.
Should he deny it when this network and others are suggesting that he's fathered a love child with the... There have been so many...
They didn't step forward on national television.
John, let's admit there have been so many false allegations...
On national television?
About this, yes, on national television.
Not with women stepping forward and saying, I'm willing to put my entire reputation on the line.
Let me bring Major in real quick, and then we have to take a break. Major?
Catherine, just one contextual point I'd like to make, is I covered the Anita Hill hearings, and 2 things feminists said at that time. The age of an allegation from a woman, whether it's sexual harassment or sexual assault, is irrelevant. And also that women never, ever lie about something this grave, something that would expose them to this much humiliation. I just think that's something we should add in the context of what Juanita Broaddrick has said.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break, and a bit later, reading, writing, and racial quotas. Some parents are up in arms about affirmative action in the classroom. Does it belong in your kids' schools? Also, are cops afraid to name the killer in the most famous murder case in Boulder, Colorado? We'll get an update on the John Benet Ramsey case. Stay with us.
Have you ever found yourself in the dark trying to fix something?
then you know how hard it is to do some jobs without light in the right place. That's why you need the Craftsman driver light, available only from Sears. The driver light is the screwdriver that focuses a beam of light right where you need it. It allows you to see what you're doing, even in tight, dark spaces, without shadows getting in the way or juggling a flashlight. The driver light has a magnetic shaft, which holds the bits firmly in place and allows you to change quickly to the one you need. The Craftsman driver light comes with 2 sizes of slotted bits, 2 Phillips bits, and 5 socket bits, all in a convenient storage case. At $19.99, it's a great value and makes a terrific gift. The Craftsman driver light is such a versatile tool, you can use it for all kinds of jobs. In hard-to-reach places like under the kitchen sink, on hard-to-see furniture assembly, appliances, or any project that needs extra lighting. There are so many jobs you'll want to use the driver light for, like under-the-hood car repairs, computers, and home electronics, or whenever there's no good light source available. You'll also appreciate the driver light when you're away from home. Keep an extra one with you wherever you go. The driver light is a heavy-duty Craftsman tool that can generate 35% more turning force than a standard screwdriver. Yet its durable, impact-resistant handle is comfortable to hold and use. It works with 2 AAA batteries that are easy to replace and features a recessed on-off switch so you won't accidentally turn off the light in the middle of a job. The driver light is made in America and, like other Craftsman hand tools, is guaranteed forever. It's another great example of how Craftsman makes anything possible. Light up your dark jobs with the Craftsman driver light. Order a driver light today.
Have your Sears or other credit card ready and call 1-800-943-8448 to order your Craftsman driver light with 2 sizes of slotted bits, 2 Phillips bits, 5 socket bits, and storage case for only $19.99 plus shipping and handling. That's 1-800-943-8448. Call now.
Last week on Drudge.
You've spoken to Juanita Broderick. Did she seem credible to you?
She's not writing a book. She's not getting paid. She's extremely well off. She has nothing to gain except shame and embarrassment.
If you gotta know, you gotta watch Drudge. For information on Drudge, go to foxnews.com or look for Drudge on Yahoo.
Okay, how do you fall into that poll? Do you believe Juanita Broderick's allegations that she was sexually assaulted by Bill Clinton 21 years ago? Send me an email. Tell me what you think. Right now, I'm continuing with Major Garrett of U.S. News and World Report, John Fund of the Wall Street Journal, and Jeff Cohen with Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting. Major, I want to pick up on the point that you were making about what, quote, feminists said during the Clarence Thomas hearings. There have been some mixed signals. Susan Estridge had an interesting editorial saying, you know, ultimately we cannot get away from, you know, judging credibility, but we cannot dismiss stories out of hand. Even Patricia Ireland seemed to try and back off a bit so that we're not throwing rape victims out in a sense to try and defend this president. What do you get as a take on that move in response to Juanita Broderick?
Well, I think women who are associated with the feminist movement and who have been, generally speaking, very loyal to the president find this the most difficult case of all. You look in Juanita Broderick's eyes. Our own reporters from U.S. News went down there this week. We've talked to her. We'll have a story in next week's magazine. Our reporters who I spoke to this morning found her very, very credible. So do they find her corroborating witnesses. Now, there is no issue before Congress. The president's not in the impeachment docket anymore. Everyone knows the legal statute of limitations has expired. There is no next step in this process for Bill Clinton as there was for Clarence Thomas.
Unless other women come forward.
I'm not saying this is what right-wing individuals have done on TV.
Let him finish and then
Wait,
follow.
excuse me. Since there is no natural next step that we are aware of currently, I think feminists have to struggle with this. The American public is going to come to the determination whether or not this is true. The poll indicates that the majority of Americans believe it is. And I do believe, as I said earlier, this will gradually but inevitably sink in and I think be very damaging to the president.
Okay, John, then Jeff.
I think it's very important to be calm, and I don't want to be interrupted. I disagree with Major. I do think some women sometimes come forward and make things up. We've seen that on college campuses. So not every woman should be believed. I disagree with the feminists on that.
I disagree with the feminists, not me, John.
With the feminists, okay. After Jennifer Flowers, we were told there would be no others. After Kathleen Willey, we were told there would be no others. After Dolly Kyle Browning, we were told there would be no others. After Monica, we were told there would be no others. I'm not saying other women will come forward. I'm saying this is a pattern of women with a variety of stories. If anyone believes that there is zero chance that another woman would come forward, I'd like them to try to take a test on it, because I don't think it'll pass. Now, this is not a right-wing issue. This is a rape issue. The woman's credibility has been established. Most people who watch it think she's credible. They think there's some holes in the story, but the president's response is complete and utter silence. That is a fact.
To show how the media have changed, even in the last decade, when Kitty Kelly's best-selling book it had an allegation from a named woman saying that decades before Ronald Reagan became president, he committed an acquaintance rape. Other journalists talked to the woman. She confirmed the story, and that Kitty Kelly claims that there were other friends of the woman who made the accusation who supported it. Now, I don't remember the Wall Street Journal or other right-wing media outlets or Jerry Falwell crusading to put that woman on national TV. Things have changed in the media, and I'm not sure it can all be blamed on the occupant of the White House. It partially is to blame. Also, the media have changed.
If this was about Jimmy Carter, no one would believe it. If this
what about Ronald Reagan?
Well, when Ronald Reagan was accused of Nancy Reagan was accused of having had an affair with Frank Sinatra, the New York Times put it on its front page, Jeff. You recall that?
Did you, John Fund, crusade to have this woman who was accusing Reagan decades later to put her on national TV? And then you would have demanded that Reagan...
Anita Hill got 9 days of national TV. We reported that.
Then you would have demanded that Reagan respond to the accusation, I'm sure.
We have to take a quick break here. When we come back, Major Right to You. But next week, Monica makes her primetime debut. Does she owe Americans an apology? And later, should racial quotas be abolished for the nation's schools? We'll talk about it.
This program is brought to you by Acura, who invite you to test drive the new TL.
It's the same in the automotive world as it is in the world of fashion. There are lots of models, but very few supermodels. Presenting the stylish luxury and race-inspired performance of the 1999 CL. From Acura.
You want to use the internet to plan a vacation. Why let America Online try to sell you everything else? No thanks. There is a choice. Prodigy Internet. If what you really want is unlimited internet and email, Prodigy will get you there in just one click. Go directly to the mountain and skip AOL's pop-up ads. Sign up for Prodigy Internet now and get 50% off for 3 months. That's only $9.95 a month. Get on, get what you need, and go do something with it. There is a choice. Call 1-800-PRODIGY.
It's my party and I cry if I want to, cry if I want to, cry if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you. It's my party and I cry if I want to, cry if I want to, cry if I want to. You would cry too if it happened to you.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
For the earliest delivery to the most international cities, call 1-800-PIC-UPS.
Times change. We change. But for over 30 years, women have made Dove the #1 beauty bar. Dove has 1/4 moisturizing lotion to leave skin softer than soap ever could.
I thought you quit smoking.
I did.
Really? What's up with that?
Nicotrol inhaler. Gives me the nicotine I need to fight my cravings and help me quit.
Really?
You can only use it for up to 6 months. And you have to use it as part of a stop smoking program. You have to stop smoking first, and you can't use it with anything else containing nicotine.
It's important to tell your doctor if you have heart or lung disease or are pregnant or nursing. The most common side effects are mild throat or mouth irritation, cough, and upset stomach.
How do I look?
Surprisingly intelligent.
Ask your doctor for product information.
Call now to learn more about the new Nicotrol inhaler and get a free copy of Pathways to Change, Nicotrol's personalized plan full of tips to help you quit smoking. The Nicotrol inhaler and Pathways to Change should be used as part of a total stop smoking program. Call now and you'll also receive a coupon worth $5 off your prescription, plus a sample inhaler mouthpiece. So call now to get started.
I don't know that there is any other political personality who could carry any of this off. The biting of the lower lip, the empathy, the making the emotional connection that Clinton makes with people. Gore can't do it. I don't know of a Republican that can do it. I don't know that this sort of thing does survive Clinton. It may be, and I'm hoping it is, exclusively tied to him.
And some made fun of Ronald Reagan for being an actor. All right, Juanita Broderick, she spoke this week, and next week is Monica's big coming out party. Will the hype behind the interview be worth it? I'm talking with Major Garrett, John Fund, and Jeff Cohen. Major, I had to interrupt you before you got a chance to respond.
Yes, Catherine, a couple of points I'd like to make about how Juanita Broderick fixed into the larger picture of impeachment, a story that I covered extensively for the magazine. I think there's a couple of points that really need to be made. First of all, this story was in the possession of the House Republicans. It did not leak. House Republicans went over and looked at the evidence. I talked to a few of them. They referred only in the most oblique terms to what they saw. If the Republicans were in fact in a partisan witch hunt or really meant to embarrass the president, they could have and probably would have leaked it. This thing was kept quiet until Juanita Broderick brought it forward. I think that's an interesting thing to point out. Also, Ken Starr has been accused of undergoing a campaign or engaging in a campaign of sexual McCarthyism. If he was really about that, I think he probably would have put the Juanita Broderick story, which he investigated, into his referral to Congress. He did not. I think that at least puts in a different context the accusation that he was simply after the sex life of Bill Clinton. And I think those things help, in a way, add credibility and a different aura to this whole story. It's not about partisan politics. No one is trying to write talking points in either Juanita Broderick's favor or the president's favor. Here it sits, and I think the longer it sits, the more troubling it is.
I think just in response, I think we should remember that the Washington Post was reporting 6 months before we ever heard the name Monica Lewinsky that Ken Starr's prosecutors were in Arkansas looking for sex allegations against Clinton.
Well,
the Bob Woodward report that was quite
We've heard reports, but a minute ago you were saying...
But the point I was making, Catherine, is that Ken Starr sought to expand the investigation of the Monica Lewinsky on obstruction of justice and possible perjury. Because the Juanita Broderick case did not fall into that, he didn't follow it up and submit it to Congress. That's a fact, and I just think it's one that's worth putting on the table.
Yeah, and just a side note, as he's moving through Arkansas, investigating Whitewater, there were allegations regarding Susan McDougal. There are also ties and reasons why that investigation may have been pursued.
Catherine, we had a media breakdown in 1992. David Broder, the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter for the Washington Post, gave a speech at the Freedom Forum last month. He said, "I only wish now that I had listened to the Arkansas critics of Bill Clinton with their wild stories, because we gave him a pass in 1992. David Broder said his coverage would have been a lot different if he had actually gone in and reported some of the stories that happened in Arkansas. Because of that media breakdown, Bill Clinton got a pass, he got narrowly elected, and he got reelected in 1996. The economy, stupid, yes, was the issue in 92, but the fact that character was so downplayed, we are paying the price for that now, both in terms of the media and the American people."
Let's look to the future. We've got two leading Republican candidates. One is George Bush Jr., who has admitted 25 years ago he was drinking and he took drugs.
No, he has not admitted that. He's admitted that he has been drinking, and he says, "I'm not going to talk about it."
He's not going to talk about it. Under prodding from reporters, he gave that answer.
Yes.
Senator McCain said his first marriage was broken up through his extramarital activity. In that context, is it going to be okay if journalists, someone comes forward from a couple decades ago about these candidates? Do you believe in this new 24-hour competitive environment that we have media standards, or have they been obliterated? And I believe they've been obliterated largely internal to the media decision-making. It's not just because of this occupant in the president, who I am no supporter or defender of, this occupant of the White House.
Media standards have changed, but political standards have changed too. The lesson here is, if you get caught lying over and over and over again, like the boy who cried wolf, ultimately your credibility, that had too, but ultimately his credibility was destroyed, and so too is Bill Clinton's.
Well, let me ask you, Major, because I think it's interesting looking to the future. George Bush has said, George W. has said in response to some questions, what I did 20 or 30 years ago, I'm not going to talk about, judge me on more recent events. Is there sort of a statute of limitations where if someone demonstrates a pattern of conduct, questionable pattern of behavior, it's fair game, if in fact they've had problems in the distant past, but there is no evidence this is ongoing behavior, that there should be a line in the sand?
Well, I don't think we know the answer to that question yet. I think one thing that we're going to see in the political process, especially in the 2000 campaign, is not so much whether or not there's going to be a new level of sexual inquiry or alcohol inquiry or drug inquiry of candidates, but candidates who appear to give incredibly evasive answers to very simple questions. I mean, Bill Clinton did that on several key questions in 1992. The draft, whether or not he smoked marijuana, things like that. And I think voters are going to be leading the reporters in this direction. They're not going to stand for people seeking the highest office in the land who are so evasive or who have a pattern of evasiveness on issues or their own personal conduct.
Remember the famous quote, I did not violate the drug laws of my country. Right. No, he violated the drug laws of Great Britain. That's a perfect example of what candidates should not do because it will open them up to media questions.
I agree with that 100%. On the other hand, I think it's up to the media. We have to think about in the future, both Bush and McCain were prodded by these kinds of questions. I think in the future there's going to be like a weird tag team where some of the leaders of the religious right are saying every single candidate should say, I have never committed adultery. And then, if they don't give an answer that is acceptable to the religious right, will the media as a tag team come in and they will both be going after that kind of question? In a sense, the religious right and the media for ratings, religious right for its own,
Well, is the message out of all of this, because we listen to the American people who seem to continue to support job approval numbers for someone that they may not support on the character issue and on a moral issue, are we going into challenging politicians if they're hypocrites, if they are lying, or is it going to be a morality battle in the year 2000?
Most pollsters will tell you the job performance rating is directly related to the economy performance rating.
Sure.
Bill Clinton's honest and trustworthy number before this incident were 24%. Now, the American people have decided to give up on government and they don't think that it's that relevant to their lives. They are completely unplugged from Washington. As a result, they didn't support impeachment. But guess what? At the height of Richard Nixon's unpopularity, only 48% supported impeachment. The American people don't want to rock the boat, especially if the economy is in good shape.
But does that apply to lying, distrust of someone? We set aside the morality issues in terms of a stringent test, but we do want to trust our politicians, don't we?
Of course, and journalists should be probing those politicians. I think the issue is that the public said, I want to hear about Social Security, education, health care, not the sex scandals over and over.
But from someone we can trust. Please. John Fund, Jeff Cohen, Major Garrett, thanks so very much. Now, coming up next, some children are being turned away from public schools because of their race. Does affirmative action even belong in the classrooms? We'll be back.
It never fails. If I spend money on something, the cats hate it. If it's free, they think it's wonderful. Bought the fancy bed. Whop. Free box it came in. Big hit. Wacky mouse. Flop. Ball of aluminum foil. Free, so big hit. So I knew my cats would love this fun play center. Why? I got it free, just for using my first USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard.
Let the world know you love cats with the first USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard. And if you call right now, you'll get this Cat Play Center, a $39 value, free with your first purchase or balance transfer. The first USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard is like a reward for your good credit. There's no annual fee and a low introductory interest rate of 3.9% that goes up to just 12.99% after 6 months. Plus, you can choose from 3 charming cat designs.
Don't tell them, but I picked the one with the white cat.
You get all the privileges that come with a Platinum MasterCard, like our special warranty program for those high-ticket purchases, lost luggage protection, even airline flight insurance. And every time you use it, you let everyone know you're a cat lover.
Now shopping is even more fun.
With our low introductory rate of 3.9%, you can transfer balances from your high-rate cards to your Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard and save hundreds of dollars in interest. Think of what you could do with all that extra money.
Well, now that they've got the play center and my belt, I guess they don't need any more toys.
Don't forget, you get the Cat Play Center with your first purchase or balance transfer. So call and apply today.
Call 1-800-626-5408 to apply for a First USA Cat Lovers Platinum MasterCard and get this fun Cat Play Center, a $39 value, free with your first purchase or balance transfer. 1-800-626-5408.
The agenda on the Hill. In the wake of the trial, are both parties willing to bury the hatchet and get on with the business at hand? And Jane Doe number 5 speaks out. Where does that one go from here? Get the inside buzz with the Beltway Board. Because in Washington, there's never a dull moment.
Any woman who has any smarts about men knows that if you meet a man you want to marry, don't sleep with him for a good long time.
Judith and her punchy panel kick things off with Monica's untold story and move on to motherhood, marriage, and men. Sunday on This Evening with Judith Regan.
Fox News Now, I'm Sheila Steinbeck. The town of Norton, Massachusetts is mourning the death of a little boy caught in a winter storm. 9-year-old Corey Anderson vanished in a blizzard Thursday. Police found the body on the side of a stream near his family's home today. Searchers had passed that spot 5 times before.
I didn't think we were going to find him today because I had been here since Friday morning, and I just thought that the terrain was impenetrable for a boy of that age. And I was just shocked that he was actually there.
The little boy had gone out in the storm to find his dog, who also found its way back home. And it's a day of mourning in Austria for the 38 people who died when giant avalanches struck the Alps. Austria's chancellor and ambassadors from Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands attended church services honoring the dead. The avalanches crushed 2 villages. Thousands of tourists were evacuated by helicopter before roads were finally dug out yesterday. The Pentagon says Iraq is lying about one of its pipelines being bombed today. Iraq claims oil exports through Turkey are suspended after the U.S. bombed a pipeline system. But the Pentagon says our pilots attacked military sites only after American jets came under anti-aircraft fire. Finally, O.J. Simpson is talking again. This time, Simpson shared his views on violence against women with Sport magazine. He says most women bring that kind of violence on themselves. Simpson goes on to say, quote, "Look at the acquittals of some athletes in rape cases. These guys have been targets for party girls." Simpson adds the worst injury he ever inflicted on his late wife was a bruise over her eye. Our next update at the top of the hour. Coming up, will Congress get rid of the independent counsel law? Find out next on the Crier Report.
John Bonet's brutal murder continues to haunt us. What's keeping the police from cracking this case? Later on, we'll find out. But first, are racial quotas keeping your kid out of a good school? 3 Chinese-American students in California were turned away from top schools in their neighborhoods simply because there were already too many Asians enrolled. How could this happen? For 15 years, some California schools have operated under a court-approved desegregation plan that says no school can have more than 45% of any racial or ethnic group. Affirmative action policies like mandatory desegregation are slowly dying out across the nation, but is that good or bad for your kids? Joining me now are Gary Orfield, co-director of the Harvard Civil Rights Project and author of Dismantling Desegregation, and president of Connerly & Associates, Ward Connerly, who fights against affirmative action policies throughout the country. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Catherine.
Gary, let me start with you. It's funny how terms bring back memories. To say desegregation sounds almost archaic to me today, and it's hard to realize that we're still busing and counting heads and enumerating students in a classroom. Was this decision a good decision?
The decision hasn't been made yet. There's been an agreement that's going to be subject to a court hearing. But the decision would be to phase out the desegregation plan in San Francisco. And it would be a bad decision, in my judgment, because segregated schools are still inferior to integrated schools, and the vast majority of Americans who've been to integrated schools agree with that. The great majority of African Americans and even of whites prefer integrated schools to segregated schools. Almost everything you said in setting up this discussion takes one side of this debate. It talks about quotas. It doesn't talk about integration. It talks about problems for some children in a desegregation plan. It doesn't talk about the advantages that go to most of the children and all the advantages that have come to Chinese children under this plan in San Francisco.
But you obviously see that even the best intentions are foiled when all of a sudden a group that possibly was intended to be helped is being hurt. Ward Connerly, what about this? Are we really talking about the need to integrate kids based on percentages for its sake alone, or to make sure all children get good schooling? Sometimes I worry that we're directing our attentions away from the real problem, and that is rebuild all of these bad schools so that every child is getting good education.
You're absolutely right. I think that the money that flows to school districts for desegregation is probably more of a driving force than providing good quality education to these kids. And I believe that the decision is an excellent decision. I don't think that race belongs in the school. It doesn't belong in the workplace. It doesn't belong in contracting. And I think that we are witnessing the end of an era here.
I don't know if you know that the San Francisco decision was not court-ordered. It was agreed to by the state of California and the people of San Francisco School District and the NAACP. And it was agreed to because everybody agreed after it was looked at by experts appointed by all sides that the black schools were inferior, that the money that was going there was not producing equal education. And under the consent decree, which is mostly about educational change, test scores have gone up. All of the schools in the ghetto community and Bayview Hunters Point have been rebuilt from the ground up in terms of a brand new staff, new curriculum. Those schools are much better today because of the consent decree. Good new high schools have been created under the consent decree. Chinese children are going voluntarily into African American areas because there's excellent high schools there now. A lot has been done to reform opportunity in San Francisco, and San Francisco schools are performing better than other big cities in California as a result of this.
Okay, but we're going to have to take a break real quick, Ward. When we come back, is that the reason these schools have gotten better? Because of the desegregation policies? And later, Boulder, Colorado will be the site of a weekend town meeting hosted by best-selling author Lawrence Schiller. Was the John Benet Ramsey case the perfect murder? We'll hear the latest. Then is the music business crazy? We'll have a unique look at this week's Grammy Awards, calling it Under the Radar. Don't go away.
Keep it going! Okay, that's enough!
Bayer can relieve joint inflammation and stiffness. Tylenol can't. And taken regularly, Bayer can help save your life. Ask your doctor. Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
Come on, get the bus, Skipper. Gotta be the dog chow.
We formulate dog chow to help maintain a healthy immune system. Dog chow, complete nutrition for a healthy dog inside and out. Purina Dog Chow brand.
Is this a smart investment? Janice crunched all the numbers. They add up if the development opens on time. So every 2 weeks, Janice comes out here. Every 2 weeks, Janice sees how it's really going. Every 2 weeks, it's right on schedule. So Janice invests. The doors open on time, and Janice got in on the ground floor. Looking to build your portfolio? Get there. Janice Mutual Funds.
Dad, you'll never believe what happened in school today. I found a frog.
Who's waiting
No
for
lady said I should call Kroger. Ribbit.
Nortel Network introduces Call Pilot. Now you can check email, faxes, even voicemail right on your PC. Using speech recognition, which makes getting to your most important messages a whole lot easier.
Dad, you'll never believe what happened in school today. I found a frog.
Nortel Network, how the world shares ideas.
These days, it seems like everybody's got a Cherokee or an Explorer. Me, I like to stand out a bit.
That's why I drive a Subaru Outback.
With a big cargo bay and all-wheel drive, you get all the sport utility you need. But with the smooth ride and better gas mileage, the Outback is far from ordinary. Like me, really. What a weird-looking bunch that was.
On March 1st, Fox News Channel Primetime gets even more powerful. Veteran news anchor and correspondent Paula Zahn joins Neil Cavuto, Britt Hume, Bill O'Reilly, Catherine Crier, Sean Hannity, and Alan Combs for the most powerful prime time in news. Starting March 1st, Paula Zahn, only on the Fox News Channel.
Could racial quotas keep your kid out of a good school? I'm talking with Ward Connerly and Gary Orfield. Ward, the syllogism is what I worry about, that if we have desegregation and bus kids to other schools, then their original bad schools get better. One caused the other. I'm not sure.
That's not what I said.
Well, Gary, that seems to be the argument you're making. All of this program ended up.
Well, if you let me explain it, I'll tell you how it actually worked.
All right, well, see if you can sum it up, because we don't have a lot of time left.
Okay, what happened was that in San Francisco, the harms of segregation were defined not just as being isolated, but also having inferior schools. And the goal was to bring students voluntarily together from across the city by creating superior schools. And that's what was done. And it was done right in the heart of the black community. It was not a separation of integration. And most of the desegregation that occurred was through choice of families going to new and good programs that didn't even exist before. So it's being mischaracterized by the way you describe it.
Well, I disagree with you, because that's what I heard, and which I have a prerogative to do.
Well, no, but have you ever been to see a San Francisco school, or do you know anything about it?
Yeah,
Which one?
As a matter of fact, I have. I've done several pieces out there. But Ward, let me come back to you and ask you about the creation of good schools in the inner city, because if you've got competition, maybe through desegregation you are going to increase schools, but why have inner city schools been improved if, in fact, you're satisfied that's the case?
They haven't been improved. The facts belie what Professor Orfield is saying.
Well, the state data show that they have been improved.
In 1998, the GPA of black students under that consent decree was 1.8, and Latinos was 1.9. Now tell me how this is improving the quality of the schools for these kids. It's not.
There's a report that just went to the court that has state data from California that shows that black students made average gains each year, particularly in reading, under this plan, and that the San Francisco schools are performing significantly better than the other big cities in
I've
California.
seen that report, and it's a very limited report. The fact of the matter is that the quality of the education in these schools is not improving, and that's why I think that a lot of people are coming to the conclusion that desegregation efforts, no matter how noble, are not working, apart from the fact that we should not be using race in this nation to admit kids to school. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, what are the different goals here, Ward? And let's take this one step at a time here. There may be a laudable goal in integrating races and having children work together. A secondary goal is children who have been going to bad schools get into better schools and therefore should be uplifted by the process. But what does that do to the original neighborhood school? What negative factors are coming out of this, if any? Is it a policy that has produced any better results that we're seeing, or have they come about for other causes?
Catherine, I think that the main goal is to educate our kids. And I think that these segregation efforts have had the effect of letting bad schools get off the hook, because we have said, let's get the kids and let's bust them around.
That's exactly.
And as a result, we have not improved the quality of these schools.
This is exactly opposite. In San Francisco was the first city in the country, and it was because of this consent decree to dissolve schools that didn't perform successfully for low-income children, and to target those schools for complete rebuilding and reconstituting. And that was because there was a court agreement, and they could supersede the normal union contract and so forth.
Okay, well then, Gary,
So
if that's the case, if these schools are better, let's take your premise for just a moment. If the schools are better, then what's the matter with getting rid of a specific quota that would mandate no more than 45% Chinese so that these kids can't go to these schools if they're all doing better?
What you have in this country is when you have segregated neighborhood schools, blacks and Latinos are 16 times as likely to end up in high-poverty schools. Those schools are almost always inferior for lots of reasons. Student background, what teachers will go there, the teachers
Okay, you just said they were better.
They're getting better, and they're integrated now. They're not high-poverty, isolated schools. All the schools in San Francisco are integrated under this consent decree, and they have educational improvement, and they are under pressure to continuously improve because the court plan says they will be dissolved if they don't. So those things have all worked together here, and in the way that they should.
Ward, let me jump in, because we're almost out of time. Yeah. I apologize. Ward, if in fact we move away from forced busing, from segregation in schools...
This isn't forced busing either. Most of it's voluntary.
Let me finish, please, Gary. Yeah. Are we going to see kids losing out by being put back in schools that are not getting the funding and not getting the support? Ward?
I don't think so, Catherine, because I think what we will do is what we're doing here in California, and that is to make sure that every kid has an opportunity. We'll improve the quality of the schools. I think that's what will happen.
Okay, Gary Orfield, Ward Connerly, I apologize. That's all the time. We'll be right back.
This program is brought to you by Prodigy Internet. Spend less time online.
You want to go online to buy that hot stock at 18. But by the time you're done clicking out of AOL's pop-up ads, it could be at 20. No thanks. There is a choice. Prodigy Internet. If what you really want is unlimited internet and email, Prodigy will get you there in just one click. Sign up for Prodigy Internet now and get 50% off for 3 months. That's only $9.95 a month. Get on, get what you need, and go do something with it. There is a choice. Call 1-800-PRODIGY.
For the earliest delivery to the most U.S. cities, call 1-800-PIC-UPS.
Fox News Channel Daytime. The whole story in context. Facts presented fairly. The issues balanced, so you have the power to think for yourself. Fair and balanced. The most powerful name in news. Fox News Channel. We report, you decide.
I notice you're sitting a little funny.
Well, my wallet's pretty thick. I carry a lot of credit cards.
Wow, why so many?
Well, this one's for work, this one's for emergencies. It's got a really high limit. This one I got because it's got clout. This one's got a pretty cool hologram. And all the others I was pre-approved for, so I figured, why not?
Well, now you can make that wallet a little thinner and your bank account a little fatter.
Oh, yeah? I'm listening. Yeah, I'm leaning.
Replace all those cards with the Bank One Platinum Visa card. One card with a low introductory rate of just 3.9%. No annual fee and a credit limit from $5,000 up to $100,000.
That's great. I'm paying around 18% on these cards.
Transfer the balances of those higher rate cards to our low 3.9% introductory rate, and you'll really save.
Wow.
After 6 months, it's an affordable 12.99% fixed annual percentage rate. You'll also get a year-end summary of your charges, collision coverage on your rental car, and emergency airline ticket replacement.
That's great.
Call now, and this versatile expandable portfolio, a $74 comparable value, is free with your first purchase or balance transfer.
Well, let me get this straight. The Bank One Platinum Visa card's got a credit limit up to $100,000. I don't need that card. It's platinum. Talk about clout. It keeps track of all my expenses. It's great for work. And with a low rate, I don't need any of these. Wow. Check out the wallet now. Very nice.
And you'll feel even better after you see your monthly statement. At 3.9%, the Bank One Platinum Visa could save you hundreds of dollars in interest.
No annual fee, low rate, better posture. I'm calling Bank One.
Call now to apply for your Bank One Platinum Visa card. Get an introductory 3.9% APR, credit limit up to $100,000, no annual fee, and this versatile portfolio free with your first purchase or balance transfer. Call 1-800-772-2057. That's 1-800-772-2057.
Obviously, the person who killed John Bonet felt very comfortable in that house because after she was hit over the head, the events that took place were anywhere from 10 to 35 minutes, and therefore that person had no fear of discovery.
Will we ever find out who killed that little girl? Well, on Saturday, best-selling author Lawrence Schiller takes his new book, Perfect Murder, Perfect Town, to a town hall meeting in Boulder, Colorado. As I discovered when I interviewed Mr. Schiller last week, there may be some new evidence, but will it take investigators anywhere they haven't been? Well, I asked Cyril Wecht, a forensic pathologist and author of the book Who Killed John Benet Ramsey, and Craig Silverman, a former deputy district attorney in Denver.
We know now that Fleet White, a good friend with John Ramsey before the incident, was much more involved than a lot of us thought. He was right there when John Ramsey found his daughter, the way John picked up his daughter sort of like a cardboard cutout, ran upstairs. His peculiar actions afterwards, including reserving a flight within a half an hour of finding his little girl. He reserved the flight for Atlanta, and he offered an explanation that he had business to attend to in Atlanta. That didn't make any sense because the police knew he was supposed to go to Michigan for a family vacation.
Well, what about you, Dr. Wecht? Anything in there that jumped out that you hadn't reviewed, hadn't seen before, that was incriminating, and then we'll get to some exculpatory?
Well, some of the things that have come out about the blanket and someone having to know about the washer and dryer, the fact that the...
Let's tell people, in case they haven't heard this, that apparently she was wrapped in a blanket that the housekeeper thought came from a dryer that was sort of hidden away in a cabinet upstairs.
Yes.
Somebody would have to know where that upstairs washer was and all the rest of it.
Exactly. And then the room in which the body was allegedly found was a room that this housekeeper of many years wasn't even aware of the existence thereof. So, other things, of course, that have come out that we did come to learn after our book went to press a year and a half or so ago, the red fibers on the inside of the duct tape and so on, things that Craig and many others have known now.
And those red fibers being fibers that apparently matched what Patsy Ramsey had on the night before.
Patsy Ramsey's sweater, which she had on along with full makeup when the police came about 6 o'clock in the morning, although she had just gotten up a half an hour or so before, had found her daughter missing after seeing the note first, and run around the house in understandable panic, looking for the daughter, looking in the boy's room, looking in her husband, waking her husband, and so on. I mean, all of these things are just so totally incongruous with what anybody would expect of reasonable parameters of human behavior in the face of such an incredible tragedy. This is simply unfathomable.
Craig, what about exculpatory evidence? There was some apparently blood in her underwear, the DNA which matches no one around, a pubic hair found on the blanket which doesn't match up. What's this all about?
Awfully confusing, especially the blood evidence. What they thought might be semen at first turned out to be blood, which matches JonBenet. And then there are 2 other mixed DNA samples that they can't match to anybody, samples that are not blood and not semen. So I suspect it must be saliva or sweat. And these are mystery pieces of evidence, particularly located in the little girl's underwear. It's bizarre, as is the pubic hair. These are great events for the Ramseys because it isn't too hard to create a reasonable doubt given those mystery objects.
Well, Cyril, that's your field. What about that?
Yes, well, I am very anxiously looking forward, Judge, to seeing these reports and talking with the experts, and eventually those will be made available. I'm hoping maybe I can learn something before then. I don't have an answer, but may I point out again something that we've discussed previously, namely that this little girl who had been sexually abused unquestionably with blood there in and around the vagina has the panties and the other garment pulled up. So in other words, this outside intruder, after doing all of these things, was so concerned and so sensitive that he redressed the little girl. Just think about that. I think the DNA, I have a feeling that there's going to be an answer, and it is not going to be as much of an obstacle.
All right, speculate for us. What is your gut telling you?
What is my what?
What is your gut telling you? Speculate for us.
Oh, speculate. Well, I just, there can be contamination. There can be mistaken tests. DNA testing is extremely sensitive, and if you don't do it carefully, the slightest contamination from the person doing the testing.
We remember the O.J. case. Craig, you're not
that's right. Right, but isn't that the problem, though, Dr. Wecht? And that is, the defense will have a field day either way. If it is contamination, and I think your speculation is probably right on, if it's contamination, that's devastating for the prosecution. The prosecution has already shot themselves in the foot so many times. There are so many self-inflicted wounds that it's hard to believe that this bolder prosecutor, anyway, would even bring a charge, let alone prevail at a trial.
Back with more after the break, and later, the Grammy Awards took off on a wild note earlier this week. We have the highlights. You won't want to miss it. Stay with us.
Some folks think my Subaru Outback here is just for exotic adventures. Truth is, it's good for the everyday stuff, too. You know, like running down to the store, picking up the mail. A secret, full-time all-wheel drive. Something you just won't find in a Cherokee or a Blazer. Comes in handy when you say, wait for a hair appointment. Right with you, mate. Now you know why I wear a hat.
Man, that chili was hot.
You got heartburn too?
Yeah. Want to try these new Pepsi AC chewables?
It says you gotta take it with water. What's the water for? Oh, it sounds you don't need water.
Just because new Pepsi is chewable doesn't mean it works like Tums. Tums calcium neutralizes acid fast. Pepsi Chewable's famotidine has to go through your bloodstream, so it takes 40 minutes just to start controlling acid.
You want to go back for water?
Forget the water, pass the Tums.
One word convinced me, and herbal could help me maintain emotional balance.
Central.
One name means an advance in herbals to help maintain memory. This winter, I'm taking the only herbal backed by Centrum Science.
Introducing Centrum Herbals. Some other brands can be missing natural ingredients because herbals can vary from plant to plant, dose to dose. Only Centrum uses farmer print to guarantee a more complete herbal every time.
One word can help make a difference in your health.
6 individual Centrum Herbals, naturally more complete.
A proper gentleman eats one cookie at a time.
But these aren't cookies. They're Newtons.
Oh, we can't be proper all the time, now can we?
A cookie is just a cookie, but Newtons are fruit and cake. And now Fig Newtons are better than ever, because they're moister than ever.
The media wasn't involved in the first week, but eventually when that video of John Bonet strutting around in her pageant outfit was released and the tabloids came and all of us came, you know, then the media started to put a lot of pressure, and some of these public officials rose to the epitome of celebrity. They enjoyed it. They started to leak stuff.
It's been more than 2 years since John Bonet Ramsey was murdered. How has public interest in this case influenced the investigation? I asked Cyril Wecht, a forensic pathologist and author of the book Who Killed John Bonet Ramsey, and Craig Silverman, a former deputy district attorney in Denver.
It's not unheard of for police and prosecutors to disagree, but the level of fighting here and the escalation which has been back and forth, police to DA, it's reached unprecedented proportions, and it's really been destructive of the case. It culminated with Alex Hunter trying to use a tabloid reporter, Jeff Shapiro, a 24-year-old, who he took into his confidence, and he tried to maliciously smear the lead investigator on the case, Commander Eller. As a result, Commander Eller lost his job, and the police ended up running an undercover tape on this tabloid guy who was working both the police and the prosecutors, and then they had an incriminating tape against Alex Hunter. So you have all sorts of conflicts now between the police and the prosecutors. A good DA does his talking in court, as you well know, Judge. After the trial, he's free to talk, but before a trial, he should not be talking to anybody. Alex Hunter is telling Larry Schiller about changing his mother's diapers. Who wants to hear about that?
Absolutely. Well, Cyril, let me ask you about that, because those are great rabbit trails, and they actually come up in a trial and distract juries and others from the real facts in a case. But was there harm done to the physical evidence, to the investigation, such that it really compromised this case?
There's no question that this case was not handled professionally by law enforcement from the outset. And that goes through then the criminalist as well as the police, and then on to the coroner, who failed to go immediately to examine the body when it was found at 1:30 to have a better indication of when death might have occurred. And that, of course, relates to subsequently obtained testimony from 2 different neighbors, one audible and one visual. So it has been messed up, and the things that Craig has talked about certainly have added to the complexity, the contentiousness, and further obfuscation. However, as you know so well, Judge, and Craig and I, over the years in all of these cases, there aren't many perfect cases.
Doctor, do you think there'll be an indictment coming out of this grand jury in April?
Yes, I do.
You do? Thinking of John or Patsy Ramsey?
Yes.
John or? Which one?
Well, I think both.
All right. What do you think, Craig?
I disagree. I'm afraid we're not going to see an indictment. I think we're going to see a Hunter report strong on criticism of the police department.
Oh, dear. Craig Silverman, Cyril Wecht, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
The John Bonet Ramsey grand jury is supposed to wrap up its investigation by April 21st. Of course, we'll continue to follow the story and see if they take any action. Now, it is Friday. Let's end on a bit of a happier note. The Grammys were handed out Wednesday. Rosie Rapt, Shania Witt Strapless, and moms and dads were introduced to the new sexy singing group, the Dixie Chicks. This award program may be 41 years old, the granddaddy of music award shows, but I'll tell you what, it can still rock. Take a look.
Be on gas, put our servant to the test. Tie a napkin around your neck, Sharia, we can do the rest.
sick. Is she sick or what?
I'm looking forward to being a good wife someday. Thank you, God. Thank you, Father, so much. What is up with that guy with the little hip thing he's doing up there?
Obviously, you've got a Grammy now. What about the Oscar? Is that your next goal, do you think?
That's right, baby.
The O'Reilly Factor from L.A. is straight ahead, and tonight we'll factor in the polls about Juanita Broderick. Do Americans believe her story, and should President Clinton be held accountable? We will get reaction to the polls from one of the House managers. While the Hollywood community continues to support President Clinton, some are growing uneasy. We'll talk with activist actor Mike Farrell about the situation. And the governor of California wants high school students to pass an exit test before they graduate, but one educator says that's a bad idea. We'll find out why, but first, the latest news.
Fox News Now, I'm Sheila Steinbach. The Pentagon says there's no evidence an American attack on northern Iraq hit a major oil pipeline. Baghdad says oil exports through Turkey are suspended after the pipeline was severed. It's also claiming 4 people were killed by our planes today. The Pentagon says our planes bombed military sites in the northern no-fly zone after they were fired upon by anti-aircraft batteries. Hezbollah guerrillas are celebrating the killing of an Israeli general in South Lebanon today. Israel striking back with air raids and promises to launch more attacks in a land and sea offensive. Israeli citizens living in the north are in bomb shelters. That after a volley of rockets landed nearby. Britain may need a real James Bond to fight some high-tech hackers. A London paper says hackers took control of a British military satellite and are blackmailing the government. The hackers changed the satellite's courses 2 weeks ago and want cash to stop messing with it. Britain's Ministry of Defense won't comment but considers this a serious threat. The satellites are used by military forces around the world. A sad ending to a desperate search for a 9-year-old missing boy. The body of Corey Anderson was found early this afternoon. The boy was trying to find his dog in a snowstorm Thursday when he vanished. Corey Anderson's body was recovered only 150 yards from his home. Finally, the film 8mm rolls out the projector this weekend at the top. The thriller starring Nicolas Cage debuted at #1, more than $14 million at the box office. Mel Gibson's Payback is #2. The romance films, The Other Sister and Message in a Bottle, came in 3rd and 4th. And My Favorite Martian rounds out the top 5. Our next update's at the bottom of the hour. Coming up, she claimed the president raped her. But do Americans believe Juanita Broderick's story? Reaction from House Manager Chris Cannon next on The O'Reilly Factor.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thank you for watching us on our final day here in Southern California. You know, it's very easy to understand why 9 million people live in L.A. The weather is kind and there is money to be made. Very quietly, an enormous amount of power is shifting to the city of Los Angeles. And that's the subject of today's Talking Points memo. 1 year from today, the presidential contenders will be crawling all over California. In my opinion, the 2 people who win the primary here will be the nominees for president in the year 2000. With 54 electoral votes, California is the nation's most powerful state. Yet there are only 4 large newspapers in the entire place, and the TV news ratings are generally low. I'm generalizing now, but I believe many Californians are underserved news-wise. To be blunt, some don't have a clue about important issues. That's because here in the Southland, individual pursuits rule. Materialism is very important. So is appearance. Those things take money. People work hard at their jobs and on their bodies. There is little time to analyze politics or social strategy. But Californians now have an enormous say in who leads this nation. Bill Clinton realized it and prospered here.
Talking Points would like to point out that our next president will also have to play well here in L.A., and that is simply a fact of American life. And that's the memo. Now for tonight's top story. Continuing reaction to Juanita Broaddrick. According to a Fox News Opinion Dynamics poll, 62% of Americans familiar with Ms. Broaddrick's accusations believe they are true. 20% believe she is lying, and 18% are not sure. But 63% believe the charges of rape should not be investigated. 29% say they should be, 8% aren't sure. Of course, the statute of limitations is long past, so there couldn't be a criminal investigation. Nevertheless, some Americans are furious with President Clinton. He is currently on a trip here to the West Coast, and demonstrators are turning out against him in places like San Francisco and Tucson, Arizona. The president continues to be under very heavy pressure. Joining us now from Salt Lake City with reaction is Republican Congressman and House Manager Chris Cannon from Utah.
Good evening, Bill.
You heard the poll numbers, Congressman. Most people believe, who are familiar with Juanita Broaddrick's story, believe that Mr. Clinton sexually assaulted the woman. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me one thing: don't make a denial through your lawyer. That will engender distrust, among other things. Especially for a case that doesn't have any legal ramifications, no criminal charges possible. She said she's not going to sue. It seems to me that going with the lawyer was just a bad judgment there.
So you would have addressed it head on if you were President Clinton?
Either that or ignored it.
Well, he is ignoring it. I mean, as best he can.
Well, he could have kept David Kendall out of the mix there.
Well, there's also been reports that the president will not provide journalists with what he did on the day the alleged, because NBC did a fine job in pinpointing when this alleged incident could have occurred, and the president will not make any available documentation to say where he was or what he was doing. And it is available, we understand, in Little Rock, but it's sealed. So, again, the president seems to be saying to the American people, listen, I'm not going to be held accountable for any of this stuff. And how do you react to that?
Well, you know, it is hard to make him accountable. I mean, the impeachment process is over. Presumably we could do another impeachment process, but I don't think that would go any farther today on a 20-year-old charge. I think the key here is for the American people to understand who the president is. I mean, personally, I'm just thrilled that I don't have to run again with a man like this president, who the majority of the American people believe did or could have done something so horrendous as this, at the head of my ticket.
Would you define who the president is for us, in your opinion?
Well, you know, I had a talk with a political person from Arkansas who described him as, described America, frankly, as a dysfunctional family with a problem child. And Bill Clinton is the kind of guy who maybe he does a mistake, and then the way he gets over that is to come back in and play for Mama a new riff on his saxophone. And every time something goes wrong, he comes back in and plays for us a new little riff on the saxophone. Says, don't worry about that, Mama. It's all over. That's in the past. Let me play my new riff for you.
Well, you're talking about what he does rather than who he is. And you made a very interesting statement that Americans should realize who their president is. But you're one of our leaders now, Congressman. Who do you think he is?
I don't think there is any question, but this is a man who is reckless in his sexual activity. I expect that frankly, his gratification from sex comes in large part from the very reckless nature in which he practices it. That may include a rape with Juanita Broaddrick. I found her story compelling, but it certainly, at least by uncontroverted testimony, clearly includes talking to a congressman that's the chairman of a subcommittee that's going to fund your troops in Bosnia while trying to convince him to go to Bosnia and being serviced by an intern. There is something deeply frightening about a president, about a man who has more powers than any other position in the world, who has that kind of reckless nature about sex and maybe about other things as well.
Just let me clarify to the audience, you're referring to testimony by Monica Lewinsky that while the president was on the phone making arrangements for a Bosnian decision and trip, she was servicing him. That's from Monica Lewinsky. Well, when we come back, Congressman, I want to find out more about Juanita Broaddrick and what role she played in your investigation and the final vote to impeach the president. We'll have more with Congressman Cannon in a moment. And then another view on all this from actor Mike Farrell. Also ahead on the broadcast from L.A., should high school students be required to pass an exit exam in order to graduate? One expert says that's unfair. We'll be right back.
money. Janice can help you with that. Janice tracks down promising stocks one company at a time, doing the legwork to turn up the opportunity others might miss. When that stock is ready to take off, your investment should be right there with it. So what are you dreaming of? Get there. Janice Mutual Fund.
Boogie woogie, bubbling round, nothing else like it around. It's got yogurt, blended right in, with the creamy taste of butter, you try again.
The creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories. It's sheer bliss. Brummel and Brown, the only spread blended with the goodness of yogurt.
Popping with the beat, whatever we need, with Brummel and Brown. Boogie woogie, Brummel and Brown, creamy, creamy, Brummel and Brown.
Must be Brummel and Brown.
For years, the photo center at Walgreens has been known for quality photo processing. In addition to our 1-hour or next-day film developing for single sets and twin prints, the new Kodak Picture Maker machine allows you to crop, enlarge, or copy your pictures at the photo center. Multi-size prints are ready in as little as 5 minutes. You can even have your pictures available on floppy disk or the internet. Create photo greeting cards today, and they're ready the next day. Get your passport photo instantly, or even have your cherished photos restored. So get creative with your pictures and save money in a snap when you discover the source for all your photo processing needs. At Walgreens, where America takes its pictures.
Last week on Drudge.
You've spoken to Juanita Broderick. Did she seem credible to you?
She's not writing a book. She's not getting paid. She's extremely well off. She has nothing to gain except shame and embarrassment.
If you gotta know, you gotta watch Drudge. For information on Drudge, go to foxnews.com or look for Drudge on Yahoo.
Continuing now with Republican Congressman and House Manager Chris Cannon from Salt Lake City. And Congressman, I want to be very fair here. There is a possibility that the Juanita Broderick story is not true, and I think everybody should keep that in mind. Nobody was there except for President Clinton allegedly and the woman. So for all to be fair, it's a possibility that this is not true. That being said, Kenneth Starr investigated it and chose to put it in his file, which you saw as a House manager. Now explain that file to us. Could all congressmen have access to it, or was it just a selective amount? And why didn't Ken Starr pursue this accusation, in your opinion?
Some fairly clear answers, but I have to be clear about what I can't say. I can't still talk about what may or may not have been in the material that we did not make public.
All right, but we know that it was
well known, and so let's deal just from the public. The story was well known, and the facts were out there. And I believe that it's fair to say that Ken Starr looked at it. We as managers looked at it as well. And the real problem we had here is we were doing an impeachment trial for perjury and obstruction of justice. And I think everybody in America believes, or not everybody, but the majority of Americans believe that the president committed perjury and also committed obstruction of justice based upon what we talked about with Betty Currie and Monica Lewinsky and that little scheme of things. But what as managers we wanted to do was show that there's a pattern and practice of obstruction of justice with other women who had had sexual relations or apparently claimed to have had sexual relationships with the president and who were pressured to sign an affidavit saying they did not. In this case, Juanita Broderick did in fact have an affidavit that she later said was false, where she said she didn't have sex. But it was apparently, at least we looked, I believe, as we were weighing those things, we considered whether or not her reason for filing that affidavit was because of personal shame and embarrassment over having been raped.
She said she wasn't coerced. Right. She comes flat out and says she wasn't doing it.
She really wasn't relevant to the trial that we were presenting.
I understand that legally, but my God, Congressman, the President of the United States accused of rape.
On the other hand,
I can't imagine.
We do have several sources of truth in our society, and the news media is one, and I think you know that I was the first guy to talk to MSNBC and ask John Siegenthaler why NBC was not releasing that report. And that was a week and a half before the vote. NBC held this darn thing. Granted, they have a complex decision structure, and they were thinking about it from different perspectives, but they had that information, and it seems to me that the trial of the president, in part, is a legalistic trial, and that we handled. But in part, it's also a public opinion trial, and the public can't form an opinion if they don't know what the relationship with Jennifer Flowers was, if they don't know what the allegations from Juanita Broderick were.
Do you think that NBC was pressured not to run the story?
Oh, I'm not sure whether pressure came from the White House or internally. I do understand that there are people in the NBC structure who were deeply concerned, at least about the accuracy and the corroboration of the facts, if not about the effect on the president. In any event, NBC did have a significant duty to go forward and make this known, I believe, to the public before the vote was made.
All right, you believe that if this had broken during the impeachment trial, it would have had see, I don't think any Democratic senators would have changed their mind on this. I don't think one would have.
But I think what might have happened is that the senators, as a body, may have said, "My goodness, we do need to have some live witnesses here. What is this the managers are talking about, a pattern and practice, and why doesn't Juanita Broderick fit? And what does fit? I mean, do we have a case there?" And I will tell you, we had a case of pattern and practice.
And so did Paula Jones's lawyers, which is why the whole thing started. And I think you make a good point there. What troubles me, and we don't have time to get into it anymore, but I would like to talk to you further about it in the next few weeks, is that the media, like the LA Times, they're not mentioning this at all. I mean, there's a split in the media here about informing the American people about Juanita Broderick and her situation. Congressman, always a pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for your accessibility. We appreciate it. Up next, a different take on the president from actor Mike Farrell. And then, ethnic pride. Is it causing trouble in schools? We'll get to the bottom of that, and we hope you stay tuned as the O'Reilly Factor continues from Los Angeles.
It's a dirty car, but somebody has to wash it. Now, clean your car so fast it's like magic with the amazing new Shams Ami, the water-powered miracle car wash system. Watch. Attach any hose to the Shams Ami handle, fill with detergent, then power spin your car to that showroom shine clean. The soft, brushless Shams Ami head is so gentle it won't scratch your car's fine finish. Yet, the powerful rotating swivel head scrubs away dirt. The adjustable power head angles easily across the contours of your car. The secret is the gear-driven patented design that delivers a whirlwind of water power. So lightweight, it power floats the dirt away effortlessly. Switch from wash mode to spray mode for perfect rinsing action. Add car wax for that showroom shine. But that's not all. Shams Ami comes with a rotating power brush head to tackle tires, hubcaps, tar and grease. Blast away bumper sludge and insects ground into your grill. No job is too big or too small with Shams Ami. Power wash your deck. Power clean outdoor furniture quickly and easily. The amazing Shams Ami comes with not one but two extensions for a full 5-foot reach. Power clean your siding so it's spotless. Shams Ami even power washes your windows. Lightweight yet sturdy, you'll power clean the roof of your van or truck. With water-saving valve, you control the flow. Fantastic for hanging plants. It's perfect for boats. Cleans windshields, fiberglass, teak, and chrome. Swivel head and extension arms reach the toughest spots. Now you can own the amazing Power Pack Shams Ami for only $19.95. You get the powerful brushless swivel head, the rotating power brush, and two extensions for a full 5-foot reach. Order your Shams Ami today.
To order your Shams Ami, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-290-1700. Or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping and handling to Shams Ami, 6960 Eastgate Boulevard, Lebanon, Tennessee. For quicker service, call 1-800-290-1700.
When you've got a serious leak, it's time for Leak Ender 2000. It fixes any leak fast, no matter what's leaking. Just spray it with Leak Ender 2000, and in minutes, the leak is sealed. Look, we'll cut this garden hose with a knife, then shut off the water and spray on Leak Ender 2000. Minutes later, the hose is as good as new. The cut is sealed. Leak Ender 2000 is a unique compound that fills and seals any crack or separation as it hardens. Why put up with gushing gutters, dripping drains, wet windowsills, and rain-soaked RVs? Leakender 2000 stops all those leaks, and it's yours for only $14.95. Call now and we'll double your order. We'll send you this giant-sized can at no extra charge. Order now.
To order your Leakender 2000, have your credit card ready and call toll-free 1-800-571-2444. Or send check or money order for $14.95 plus $4 shipping to the address on your screen. Call 1-800-571-2444.
In the Impact segment today, could be the busiest man in Hollywood. Actor Mike Farrell achieved high fame from his role on MASH and now stars on the NBC series Providence. But Mr. Farrell also is deeply involved in social causes. For example, he was named Goodwill Ambassador for the UN's High Commissions for Refugees after his trips to Bosnia and Somalia. Mike Farrell joins us now. Now, you're known as being an activist actor, and a little bit on the left, maybe more than a little bit. Is that accurate?
I'm never sure about categorization, so I try to avoid it. I get involved in things, yeah, sure.
All right. President Clinton, continue, turbulence, continue more, and why do you see that?
I'm not quite clear about the question.
How do you see it? Do you stand behind him? Do you support him? Is it a witch hunt? How do you...
Oh, well, obviously, you know, I'm frankly not fond of this subject. I think this is all being beaten to death by the media, and I think that the public's tired of it, and I've been tired of it for a long time. But the fact is that I think the president, the acts the president has admitted to are reprehensible. I think it's shameful what he did. I've not been a fan of the president for some time, but not on the basis of those acts, but before that, based on his decisions as a president. I think he's made some incredibly cheap and easy and...
Give us an example.
The AEDPA, the Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act, has effectively wreaked havoc with the habeas corpus process in this country. His don't ask, don't tell policy with regard to gays in the military, I thought it was outrageous. I still think it's outrageous, and I think ultimately will be declared unconstitutional. Should be.
In what way? You think that there shouldn't be any discussion of sexuality in the military at all?
Discussion of sexuality goes on in the military all the time.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't think that people ought to be proscribed from being in the military because of their sexual preference, no.
Okay. So you were not a fan of the president's, even before all of this other stuff?
Correct. I was very hopeful when the president was elected. I think he is probably one of the smartest men who's ever been in the White House.
He's shrewd. He's shrewd.
Smart, intelligent.
Let me try to make a case for why the president's moral behavior matters to you, and then you can tell me where I'm wrong.
Let me not argue that. I think the president's moral behavior matters. I think it matters on a lot of levels,
Yeah,
and I'm offended that he lied to the American people. I think that what happened, however, in terms of the whole impeachment process, was a political charade, and it was one that was done for political purposes and not in the interests of justice.
If the President of the United States is shown to commit a criminal act, no matter what it is, in the White House, what should be the remedy then?
Well, there are any number of remedies in law, and they ought to be the appropriate remedies. Suggesting that things that do rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors is not an answer. The President should have been censured, should have been appropriately censured. I think I would still like to see him be censured for what he did, but to be impeached is an overreaching in law and was an inappropriate act on the part of a partisan Congress that decided they wanted to try and emasculate this president.
I've done a lot of research into you. I've been trying to get you on this program for a long time, and you interest me because I find a commonality in your causes, and that is a compassion. And I'm not saying this to patronize you, but all the causes that you align yourself with are compassionate causes. So there's suffering involved. When you wake up and you hear a woman, or I don't know whether you watched the Dateline interview with Juanita Broderick, and you see the woman crying and making it outrageous against the President of the United States, in my opinion, the worst possible short of murder accusation you can make. Rape. And you sit there and you watch this woman with tears coming down her eyes. But what do you think? To me, I'm pinned back in my chair like this. I'm going, how did this happen? How did we get to this point?
Well, the issue, as you said earlier, this is not a proven charge. So let's not presume that this woman, despite her obvious emotionalism about it, was telling the truth. I didn't see the interview you're talking about. I know very little about the charges. If the president did that, this is a reprehensible act as well. And if it's a criminal act, he should be prosecuted for it. But I think we have to determine as a people if we're going to hold a president responsible while in office for crimes, if in fact he committed a crime, committed before the time he was in office. That's a decision for the American people and the American Congress to make.
Why is Hollywood a liberal town? Is there a reason for that?
I'm not sure it is.
Oh, you know it is.
No, really, I'm not sure it is.
The amount of money raised here for liberal causes is more than any other place in the United States.
Well, that's an interesting statistic. If it's true, that suggests that Hollywood has a heart, and I'm glad about that. But I don't find the activism in Hollywood to be up to the standard that I'd like it to be, personally. I find a lot of people who are unwilling to get themselves involved in issues unless they're safe issues.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of posturing, and whenever anybody writes a check, the press knows about it. But I believe there is a liberal bent to Hollywood. We had Bud Yorkin on the other day, and I asked him the same question. Why is that? You guys are affluent out here, a lot of money, you're in a tough business, you mostly made it on your own. A Republican stance, made it on your own. Yet, very liberal undertone to the town. And I frankly still don't understand why.
Well, if it's true, and I'm not willing to accept the fact that it's true, but if it's true, arguably creative people are more sympathetic. I think it was Clarence Darrow that said sympathy is the child of understanding. If it's about people understanding and being sympathetic with people in need, people who are oppressed, people, an environment that is in difficulty, people that haven't when they should have, if it's that kind of sympathy that results in what you call a liberal bias, then I'm all for it.
So actors may be more sensitive, and artists may be more sensitive to the downtrodden. That's pretty much what Yorkin said. We've got 30 seconds left. Providence, big hit.
Yes.
That must make you feel pretty good.
Well, it does, indeed.
You dip into, but it's a lot of work, right?
It's not all that bad. Yep. You know, I play the dad. I'm the guy who sits back in the house and plays with the animals and tries to counsel the children. The young people who are on the show, Melina and Paula and Seth, are extraordinary young folks, and they're carrying the burden.
Yeah, and now NBC loves all you guys. Big hit in all Everybody come up to you and still ask you about MASH.
Oh, indeed, all the time. And it's something I'm very proud of, so I'm happy.
You like it, you don't mind?
Not at all.
Hey, Mike, thanks very much for coming in. We appreciate your point of view. And plenty more to come as we continue from L.A. The governor of California wants high school students to pass a test before they graduate. But one educator says it's a violation of their rights. Right back with that.
At Invesco, we know that the financial world isn't always as it seems. The big economic picture can always change quickly. And to manage a fund, Invesco knows you need to be on top of the changing picture and know how it might affect you right at home. Invesco, a family of no-load funds. Over 65 years of experience, a global perspective. You should know what Invesco knows.
Conventional wisdom dictates that in winter months, we should be showing Jimmy driving through snow. But we'd rather show you what makes Jimmy a true truck. Its backbone, a full-length steel frame. So Jimmy can take on the road, yet provide comfort in any weather. Buy a 1999 Jimmy and get this solid deal. $1,000 cash back for 2.9% APR financing. Sorry, we couldn't resist. Jimmy by GMC. Backbone standard.
A proper gentleman eats one cookie at a time.
But these aren't cookies. They're Newtons.
Oh. We can't be proper all the time, now can we?
A cookie is just a cookie, but Newtons are fruit and cake. And now Fig Newtons are better than ever, because they're moister than ever.
When you or someone you love is hospitalized, safety matters most. That's why doctors and hospitals choose Tylenol more than any other pain reliever. Doctors know Tylenol is least likely to have drug interactions, and it won't cause stomach irritation the way aspirin and even ibuprofen sometimes can. It's the pain reliever hospitals use most. Tylenol. Take comfort in our strength.
The agenda on the Hill. In the wake of the trial, are both parties willing to bury the hatchet and get on with the business at hand?